Gotta go back over. There we go. I'm off camera. There he is.
What?
Hey,
This is a
Sorry.
Twilight Zone. What the heck's going on tonight?
Glitching my machine. Well, welcome, Kenzie. It's Friday night. Thank you for tolerating us tonight. We appreciate you being here. So
thank you for having me.
I feel like we're the Anchorman crew, and like Joel's about to read something bad off the teleprompter or something. If anyone even understands Anchorman jokes, but am I the only one that's seen the movie Anchorman?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, I've seen it.
No,
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, my
I've seen
God.
it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Enlighten us, please.
Oh, it's just a stupid comedy movie about news anchors in the 70s that are just ridiculous. So, with Will Ferrell. So, I just felt like that's how we were headed at the beginning of this show. So, don't mind me.
It's live.
So-
I have to go onto Facebook and I have to put the post to public on Facebook every time. I don't know why. So I got caught
Really?
doing that. Yeah, I forgot to switch the camera. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah, excited to have you here. I had just read Red Station a couple weeks ago. I read it. I picked it up to read it, and that's when I reached out to you to see if you come on because I knew I was going to dig the book, just the sound of it. So, but it's a pretty bloody ass story. So, I loved it to say the least. So, but I wanted to ask, I'm always curious because growing up, like my dad, hey Josh,
Hey, Josh.
my dad was a huge Western guy, still is. Like I grew up with him watching Westerns. They used to bore the crap out of me. Like I couldn't stand them as a kid.
Me too. I didn't either. Yeah, Western's not my thing. It just because of all the when you're watching it as a kid, it's all the same old tropes. You see, like the guys coming into town to save the day, the school marm and the saloon and the showdown, and it's just kind of the same old. So
yeah, it's honestly and then so my dad had like every Louis L'Amour book, and we used to try to find him ones that he hadn't read yet, and I'm like, I don't know the difference between any of these. Like, you read the back of the book, I'm like, I don't know which one's which. So, but then like as I got older, like I just started to get this respect that maybe it's just higher quality content coming out now. I don't know, but like when I discovered horror westerns as like a hybrid, I fell in love, and it actually kind of made me like westerns in general more, just because I discovered them. So that was my question when you set out to write this splatter western. Did you really have to dig in and do a ton of research?
Yeah. But I didn't do it conventionally in that I wasn't reading much fiction, which I probably should have. I got a whole bunch of books, and I researched, just sort of entered in things like horrible things that happened in the West, just the generic kind of search that we do. And we were talking before the show, the rabbit hole of the Bloody Benders, the whole story behind them was what grabbed my attention. And I realized that the conventional slasher, especially the running around a house being chased by the killer and whatnot, it feels like it would be at home in a Western. So, and the Benders are sort of evidence of that they were this famous serial killer family that ran a station home for stagecoach passengers, and they brutally killed them and robbed them, and they buried all the bodies out back. But I said, this is perfect. So.
Yeah. I honestly, I'd never even heard of that story until I was looking it up before the show, and I'm like, this is wild. And obviously you can make the connections to Red Station as well, when you're reading the details. But if you guys aren't familiar with that, you should look it up. It's pretty crazy story.
And some of the craziest parts of that story aren't necessarily just about the killings, but the fact that nobody really knew what happened to them. There was a posse, and people after them, but they were never found. And also the relationship of the people in the family. It felt like it was a mother and a father, a matriarch and a patriarch, and an adult son and an adult daughter. But the son and the daughter, that was kind of up in the air if he really was the son or the daughter's husband. So there was all this weird family dynamic that nobody really knew. The son and the daughter, that was kind of up in the air. All of it was interesting. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the whole dynamic for sure. And when I was reading Red Station, it's funny because, it starts off, all, quiet and nice or whatever. And then as soon as they arrive to the station, it's just like, it's just nonstop from there. So the pacing in that book was awesome. So
and it's funny. I always get every time. This is kind of how I pace. I've only written two books that are out, and the pacing has always been like that. And there've always been the people in the camp who can't stand the setup. They can't stand it getting to know the characters. They want to get right into the action right now. And I like to set it up. I like to have you care about the characters so that when something horrible happens to them, you feel horrible.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of like what you did too, right? Which I don't want to give. I'm not going to spoil anything, but is a prologue that really grabs someone, and then being able to set the characters up, because then you already have them hooked from like a crazy ass scene to start, and then you can build the characters from there. So because you had the prologue that you're like, what's going on right now, this guy walking out, so
there's another school of thought that doesn't like prologues either, and I said, screw you.
Oh, no way. I love prologues.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
definitely.
We were talking to Keelan about that, the importance of the character setup, right? So if somebody gets taken out to a point, some of these movies, they don't spend any time setting them up, and somebody gets smoked, and whatever.
And that's what horror and slashers are all. The ones I don't enjoy are like that. They just immediately just start killing all the teenagers right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, so much for that. I don't care about them.
Yeah.
Kenzie, you have some great titles for books because they're so catchy. You don't have to look at them too many times before reminding of them. And when it comes to choosing them, is that your job, or you have an editor?
To choose the title?
Yeah.
I am terrible at titles. I'm amazed that you think they're Well, thanks. Okay.
It's like naming a kid.
Well, yeah, and Red Station was kind of I had this title ready because it was just, blood, red, blah, just it seemed to fit. And then I saw, as soon as I had it on my title page, and I turned it into Jared and Patrick with Death's Head Press, I looked online. I said, oh my gosh, there is another book called Red Station. People are going to confuse it. I think it was like a spy book or something. I don't know. It didn't really look at the cover, kind of looked like a generic thriller kind of thing. And I went, oh, well. And I said to my publisher, I said, somebody else has the same title. And they were like, it's just a title. Nobody cares. Just title, copyright. There's no copyright infringement with that. So I was like, all right, fine. So thank you for saying that.
John can write it, put it out there on John Durgan, right? And it'll be okay.
No. When I was writing the first book that I'll be putting out, I had this title that I really wanted to use. I was all excited, and legit, right when I finished the first draft, I saw someone on Twitter, tweeting about their new book that was just released with that title, and I'm like, what? It has nothing to do, obviously, with the same story. And I'm like, all right, well, back to the drawing board. But yeah, so I like to your point though, I could have used it, but it was literally coming out at the same time as right around when I planned it. So
there are so many issues with things that happen that come out at the same time when yours does, whether it's a title or a premise. Like my debut book, Reception, which is about a bad wedding, like cannibals at a wedding. And the groom's family were the cannibals. it came out, let's say, about 5 months before Ready or Not, the movie about I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
And it was kind of a curse for me. So, I mean, I was glad that my book came out first, but it's almost like everybody, whenever I talk about the book, somebody would say, "Oh, I saw that movie."
Oh, jeez.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
yeah, that was me. Yeah,
could be heard the song as well.
Yeah.
Say, hey, they based it off my book. Yeah, so
yeah, I didn't get any money for it, but sure.
Yeah. Well, I got to read it because I wanted to get into the Splatter Western series. So your book was the first one I read of the series so far.
Oh yeah, you said that. Why did you choose? I'm curious. Let me ask you. Why did you choose this one first? Was it just the premise that looked?
Yeah. I didn't realize the order of how they came out either. It wasn't like I picked book number, whatever. I saw the title and I read the premise and I'm like, let's check this out. And I followed you on Twitter, I think already. So like I had seen posts about it too. So I just that one stood out in my head because I'd seen it too. So
that's awesome. Yeah. The other I've read most of them that are out. I think Brian Smith's one just came out and I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah.
But most of the ones that I've read of the series, they're supernatural. They've got they've got that sort of blend of some of them even science fiction. It's kind of this weird mesh.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not a fantasist. I don't really I could write vampires or something in it, but I really didn't want to. It's like humans are so scary, much scarier to me.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's why
the brutality of it, right? Yeah, exactly. I'll definitely check the others out. I mean, I like all things horror too. So I mean, it doesn't have. It can be supernatural. It can be, just awful humans. Like this story. But yeah, it.
Don't write about zombies, please.
Hey, I like zombies still. I'm not gonna lie.
Some of them are cool.
Hey,
yeah.
Well, speaking of zombies, though, to your point, when you mentioned when your first book came out, with right around the time of that movie, like that was Brian Keene was talking about The Rising and how that was when Walking Dead blew up 28 days later, and like none of them copied each other. They all were doing it simultaneously, and they just kind of put them out one after the other, and it's so
yeah, and that's what's going on right now with the westerns. The revival of the horror western. I keep saying this, I'm crediting Patrick C. Harrison III of Death's Head Press for coming up with the splatter western.
Yeah.
And this was his idea, and he asked a number of us to write a novella or a novel around that subgenre. And as soon as that started, all of these other people started writing them.
Yeah.
These from other publishers and whatnot. So I went, oh wow, this is really it's kind of cool to watch. So
they're what got my attention to it. So I would give them full credit for that. Absolutely. And the covers too.
That kind of
oh my God, Justin Kuhn's he's fantastic. He's I love that he kept it going throughout the whole thing. The whole it's kind of pulpy. It's kind of that pulpy art, but the fact that it is art, that it is drawing, and he does it all. I mean, it's wonderful.
I was trying to pull it up so I could share it here, but for whatever reason, Google is giving blurry images. I'll try this here, but it's not going to do it justice if it's going to come in blurry. But
we'll try it out.
Yeah. I mean, these covers are so freaking cool. I love them, all of them. He did such a good job. Yeah, see, it looks kind of fuzzy, right? It's not my eyes.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah. So is it fuzzy for you guys too, or am I losing my mind?
It's a bit fuzzy.
Looks okay.
Oh,
of course. I broke my glasses, so maybe that's helping it look perfect.
Nothing's okay for you, Joel.
No, but he hand paints these covers, right? Like he he crushes these things. So I was tempted to reach out to him because I'm gonna do a Christmas horror anthology or a short story collection, and I was like, oh, that would be cool to have a cover like that. But he doesn't do commissions really because he's probably so busy with first of all with these.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't know his schedule or anything like that, but
his website just says not currently taking commissions. So I was like, damn it.
Probably because of that, because okay, how many splatter westerns are coming out this time? And he's probably got like commissions on the side too. Who was it? Resisting Madness by Wesley Southard has a crazy cover by him as well. That's like surreal, and it looks like have you guys seen the movie Society?
I have not seen it, but I know his cover, but I have not seen that movie.
That his cover reminded me so much of that movie. It's really great. But he's amazing. His work is Society. I can't believe you guys haven't seen that movie.
Google search that right now. Society.
Yeah, Google's your friend. Look that movie up. Trust me.
If it's good, I have probably seen it, but they changed the titles when they translate into Portuguese.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let's see.
I just got through Iron Man. Like I'm really behind. So.
Oh my God! Yeah, it does kind of when I see some of these images. I have not seen this. Okay, well, maybe it'll be free on something.
I have a feeling this is going to be all about movies this hour or so.
A lot. I mean, yeah.
We take tangents all the time.
Well, I'm going to share a screen again just because. Right. This is pretty wild stuff.
Yeah.
I have never seen this movie. What is this?
It's.
Oh God! I saw me.
Oh, this is going to be a champ.
Yes, you guys have got to see it. It's good social satire about past satire. It has got some. I mean, obviously, you see the images of the body horror at the end of the movie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. See that's probably what the cover reminds you of, right? Like very similar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love this.
If you like the body horror stuff, I love it. I think it's so much fun to.
Yeah, it is.
The practical effects, just love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's cool. I'll check out. If you guys,
you have to get a pen and paper. Write your list down. Okay, Society. That's right.
I have mine ready here.
Oh, it's on AMC. It's on Tubi. All right, cool. Well, it's free.
Oh yeah, it is.
There you go.
I it's changing all the time. I saw The Hills Have Eyes, the new one, the recent one, not really recent, but the remake of The Hills Have Eyes one. I was like, I really wanted to see that again. But then I think it went off. So.
Oh man.
Never gonna.
I saw that in theaters. That movie was.
Yes.
That was intense. Yeah.
Thinking about doing some viewing parties together with people, having guests on. So maybe we should set that up. We could watch Society with you. And
oh my gosh, I love that.
Have some drinks, get crazy, and just watch it.
So
might be a show too. We might do that. So.
People should bring you the top 5 films.
Yeah.
Top 5, yeah. He'll have a horror person come on with their favorites, and then watch one. Yeah.
Yeah. We had the writer of Lamageddon on a few weeks ago, and we were going to do a party with his film. So that's.
I was looking at the list of videos from you guys, the cast list of all of the shows that you've had before, and I saw that, and I was like, "What is Lamageddon?"
You didn't click on that one, huh?
Exactly what it sounds like.
That's exactly it.
It's a long joke on the show too, because Joel watched it. He and his wife were bored one night apparently, and they
sought it out.
It was on Amazon, and he was like on our show. He kept saying, "You guys got to watch it, and we got to try to get these guys on." And I'm like, "What? No!" Like it's about a killer Lamageddon from space that has laser eyes, and I'm like, "This is ridiculous." And
in a nutshell, it was a dream come true for Joel.
Oh, that was probably his bucket list show.
Open head. It's kind of what happens in my head on an ongoing basis.
Talking
You're
to the
a fan
producer.
of those kinds of weird, those movies with the like
Oh, yeah.
Poltergeist and
Now, what did he watch recently? Velocipaster. Did
that,
you watch that one?
I was trying to remember that one. I remember the Velociraptor and the blend and the
The
Killer
killer
Sofa.
one. Killer Sofa. Yeah. Oh my God.
Sharknadoes and
So, well, Lamageddon, like if you think B horror, Lamageddon's like Z horror. Like it's
Yeah,
like
horror,
below a B.
down.
No, he would take that as a compliment.
No,
I
James is fun. Yeah.
When I sought out James to have him on the
what he
show,
does.
yeah, when I sought him out to have him on the show, he's like, "I'm sorry that you guys watched it." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "What made you watch it?" I'm like,
Why would you do that?
sorry. Yeah.
Curiosity. It's like
Yeah.
anything else. If you see something with a title like that, you're just going, okay. So
Yeah.
Well, I grew up watching like Mystery Science Theater 3000 and those kooky things, and I had an older brother that subjected me to a whole bunch of garbage. So it's like just right in there, you know, it fits right in there perfectly. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
we were watching all
Oh, my,
back then.
there it is.
Yeah.
Does that happen often?
It
Anyway.
got a little spotty. Got a little
Yeah.
spotty. It could be us. John and I had a blizzard today, so it
Oh,
could
yeah.
be the woods too. I live in the middle of nowhere. I am a horror movie setting where I live. I even have a cemetery on my property, Kenzie. So
You guys live in New Hampshire. You do live in a horror movie setting.
Yeah. and it is like a cemetery. Everybody has
Yeah.
died or something has died here.
Pretty
so,
much that entire northeastern area.
yeah.
Stephen
mean,
King's world, yeah.
Maine
Yeah.
is like where 90% of horror authors live. I feel like so.
Joe's got a graveyard in his
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
It is a horror scene all the time, like 24/7.
Well, especially when he has the show in the summer. When he has the show, he does it from his porch. You know, it's like all black behind him in the show. It's like just woods. So I just picture something coming up live on the show behind him, and you know, scaring the crap out of him.
It's like one of those found footage movies. You know, you'd have your live show going on and something coming running behind him. Yeah.
We should do a show from the cemetery sometime. We'd have to do it like earlier because the sun, right? Or have lights or something set up. But
Yeah, well, I'll stay here and you can do it from there, and we'll just stream it that way. No, I don't.
they're all good. They don't bother.
Speaking of embarrassing, not only movies, but you know, there are some embarrassing books as well, and some of them do very well financially speaking. And those people, they don't care because they're making money, they're doing shit, and they're getting famous for that. And there are people who love that.
Yes,
But-
and some of them are so huge, like 50 Shades of Grey. I mean,
Yeah,
total shit.
exactly.
Total shit.
But there's another side of the coin. Like, how would you take a criticism if you? Oh, sorry, there's an airplane. There it goes. When you try to do something good, and people and the critics, they just slam on you, and then you know they put you really down, and you get really bad reviews. That can be horrible, terrifying, you know, like a mind fucking, you know, just to, for lack of a better word. And do you think you would be able to stand to that blow?
I think so. I think we're joking about Lamageddon, you know, and society, and you know, there's a cult status. So, like, and with books, I'm sure you know people will come back to it like 20, 30 years later and go, "Oh, this is so trashy, but I love it." You know, just like, and they'll have book clubs that read it just because it's trash.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, whatever. And then arguably, does it become art as a result?
Sometimes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess some of them don't do on purpose.
I mean, well, look at the
That's a
majority of
problem.
slasher films from the 80s, right? I mean, if you look at like their Rotten Tomatoes scores, they're like 20 or 30%, and like everyone loves them. It's you know, it's to your point, right? You know, everyone loves something. I mean,
There's an audience.
50 Shades of Grey is terrible.
What they're now, because of publishing, because everybody publishes now. Everybody publishes. I mean, everyone. We have books about dinosaur human porn. I mean,
Wow. Oh, man.
But there's an audience, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone's
For
got that.
everything.
It's come out somewhere. I guess.
Scary.
Man, that's
What-
I don't know how you
what-
have to
when
be
you look-
twisted to have that fetish. I don't know, like
You seen
the
that?
person that wakes up
Yeah.
thinking, man, I want to like bang a T-Rex today. Like,
Have you
Oh no, you must have done a lot before going to the T-Rex. You know, like, you must have covered
You got
everything.
wonder if it's a dare. Do you think it was a dare? Like somebody
Maybe.
dare you to write? They're all sitting around completely plastered, and somebody says, "I want you to write a book about velociraptors having sex with humans." I mean, really?
I don't even think I could write. Like, I feel like I was looking over my shoulder at someone like just watching me type the words out. Like, you know,
You need a time machine first.
Can you imagine the ads they must get from their Google search algorithm on their Facebook feed now because they wrote that while they were researching that book? They must get some really gnarly, ads thrown there.
Could dinosaurs and humans mate? Google search.
How would this happen? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, if they ever found that laptop, boy, that would be a real interesting case study. Like, no, I was writing a book, honestly. Like, trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I can imagine some of the research stuff that has to go in, for some of these authors. You hear them talk about researching how to get rid of a body and stuff like that.
Yeah. I as soon as I got a confession here. I never in a million years thought I would ever be an extreme horror author. Like, I never knew I was going to write gory horror. I never would have thought it. And that is an entirely different world. And there are the splatterpunk extreme, really, really, really extreme. Like, they really do not care. It is an entirely different set of people. And the strangest part is that they're the nicest people ever.
Yeah.
The most depraved are the sweetest.
Yep.
You have terrible thoughts, dude. I'm not just mad.
Probably they throw all that shit in there. They know how to compartmentalize.
I guess they do. I guess they want revenge or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like
it's a kind of therapy, I think.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. And a lot of them are very shy too. So I'm sure it is therapeutic, but yeah, like I said, it's slightly terrifying. I always get the question, because I teach college, I specialize in rhetoric and composition. So I'm a comp professor, and it's, I don't like the job. I don't like it. I used to, I don't like it anymore. But I always get people asking, I want to read your book. What did you write? And like, oh, well, I write horror. Oh, like Stephen King. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I have to go into this whole thing where I'm explaining it's really gory, and mine is really tame in comparison.
Right. Some of them you just I think you're in some of the same groups I am on Facebook, the horror author groups and whatnot, and or horror book groups, and some of the books that people really push in there. I'm like, man, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could read some of those. And I love horror. I love horror. But
it's one step too far. One step too far. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just read Left to You by Daniel Volpe, and it was incredible. It was an amazing book. But he was telling me, because I want to have him on at some point too, and he was telling me that most of his stuff is far beyond that. But it's basically when you talk splatterpunk, it's splatterpunk. So I'd be interested to see. I might pick up a book like that just to see, but I just feel like I'd be like, geez, what?
Yeah, I don't. And I am not the person to recommend anything to anybody. So I wouldn't know where to begin, which one to recommend to you that was really daring, but just enough that you could take it, because I don't know very well. So I don't know.
Recommend is too strong. Maybe you could just suggest.
I mean, some of these groups, like they there's already a list I could name off the top of my head, books that I've been tempted to buy, like Duncan Ralston's book Womb, like that's like blowing up right now.
That book talk, just I told him the other day on, I think on Facebook, I said your book is just blowing up everywhere, because he was like, it's like number in the charts again, what's going on? I said, you should see people on TikTok right now are really talking about it.
Oh really? Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I might pick that one up, and I heard that's pretty twisted. So
yeah, Chandler Morrison, who is I love that kid to death. He's the sweetest guy. He is probably the most depraved of a writer ever. He wrote what was it? Dead Inside was one that he. If you Google it, there was like a controversy with it, and Bizarro Con, and it was just weird. It was like right when I started joining the horror community. So I joined at the strangest time when all of these like scandals were going on, and it was weird. It was just crazy. But that book was that was the second book I ever had to put down and walk away from. Dead Inside, I swear. But his prose is fantastic. He is a fantastic writer. So yeah.
Wow.
What do you do with?
Well, that's it, right? Like if they can pull it off with the prose, then that's one thing. But I think there might be a little delay, Kenzie. Now, I don't know if it's just me or not, but I don't really think I'm cutting you. I just didn't want her to think I was cutting her off because her screen froze.
I can see it. I don't know what's going on. I can see you guys.
It's fine. No, it's good now. It was just a quick second, I think. So I forgot what I was saying though, but that happens a lot.
I was going to ask, do you feel there could be a point of capitulation where it's going so extreme that it sacrifices the quality of the story too?
Well, I would think. I think if it was, you use the word gratuitous a lot, and people tend to overuse that word, but for this, I think it's appropriate. Is that when does the extreme horror become gratuitous? It becomes just pointless. They're just writing grossness for grossness' sake. That's my cat, by the way. My cat just came on behind me. So.
Oh, we've had pets on. We have kids on. It doesn't matter. So, yeah. My boy Dutch, he's a German Shepherd. He might jump up here sometime. So it's okay. It's all good.
He's there. That's his tail.
I thought it was a snake.
Yeah, that's right. My snake cat. That's right.
Oh, man. Yeah. What was the groomer is another one that I've heard is like just too far. I don't know if it's kid stuff. I don't know, but yeah, I can't do it. I can imply stuff, but I wouldn't be able to write like an actual scene of that. So,
and there are things I'm sure, like every time I see an extreme horror panel, there's always the question, what is one thing that's taboo to you that you will not write? So I'm always startled to hear their answers, but there seems to be a universal consensus that for a lot of the more, I guess I don't want to say mainstream, but the more known names in extreme horror, they're like no children. So yeah, that's a different subset of extreme. So yeah.
I thought about being a mortician once, and I thought it'd be hard to do kids like undertaking. So
oh my gosh, I could never do that. I'd be so
never bothered me when I was young. My dad was smart. He always said, "Be something people need. You'll never be out of work." And I figured, well, it can be an undertaker, and there'll be plenty of business always with that. So, but then I thought kids coming in would be rough.
Mm-hmm.
So
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And again, I'll watch any horror movie and read any horror novel that, again, with the kid stuff, I don't think I could. I'd probably just cringe and shut the book. But same with, like pets, I think most people stay away from that. I mean, I'm sure some of those books don't, but now we have trigger warnings and stuff.
Pets don't seem to be off limits. I think that's also like super personal too. Like, I can think of a couple of extreme horror authors who are very close to their pets. And so, they have a dog or a cat and so they will not have this in the book unless it was heartbreaking. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's it, right? If it fits the story, like I wouldn't just want that in there. Like it would have to like be there for like a blow because it was like important to the story sort of thing. But,
it doesn't have specifically to be horror to give you that kind of feeling.
Right.
I've been watching Ozark, and it's another horror series,
Yes.
and I'm terrified
Yes.
because
Yes.
I'm not used to that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But
Yeah.
the story is so good
Yeah.
that it makes me watch somebody getting his
Well, yeah.
hand.
And you
you
want
know,
to watch the birds, how
No.
Marty Bird is going to get them out of this one. So,
It is terrible. It's horrible, but I can't stop watching it.
yeah.
You know.
How far in the show are you, by the way? I'm just curious. Where are you at?
I'm on the second season.
Oh man, you haven't seen anything.
I'm late. Yeah, I know. I'm late.
No, I'm just saying it picks up. Like season 3 is insane. And
That's good to hear.
The pacing in it is so good. It reminds me so much of Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
An ordinary family. It was an ordinary family in Breaking Bad too, and just every single day they have to make these calculated decisions, these risks to keep their family safe. And so it reminds me so much of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm such a big Jason Bateman fan too. Like his sarcasm, like I'm like, is he really a prick in real life? Because he is the most sarcastic asshole in almost every character he plays. And I crack up at his lines, like just the way he talks to people, and like it just.
And his kind of his 100-mile stare off, whenever somebody's saying something stupid, and he's just kind of like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you
seen?
Oh, go ahead.
He plays himself. Probably he plays himself like so many actors. They play himself for their whole life.
Yeah.
Look at Robert De Niro. He's doing the same thing, since I was a kid, and he's still great doing it. Because no, this is the guy from Mafia. That's the Mafia guy. That's him.
That's right. Yeah. I was going to say, have you seen? Speaking of Jason Bateman, but playing off character, have you seen the movie The Gift?
Yeah.
He was not a nice character at all. I mean, he was. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, I mean that was
an
archetype with him, and so I always get like whenever I see an actor, I love Jason Bateman too. I love his stuff. I've loved one of my favorite shows was Arrested Development.
Yeah.
I love that show.
All right, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And so he managed to carry that character throughout the whole like horrible bosses. Oh, even in Ozark, it's sort of even if he's it's dangerous. He still has that kind of sarcastic sensibility, But yeah, The Gift, 180. I mean, that was against type. So
he's writing it down. Yeah. No, I forget. I saw it when it first came out, and I remember really liking it. But I might have to see it again because I don't remember too much.
It's one of those like it feels like one of those conventional thrillers where it's like it's this couple. And this guy comes to their house, and he's like he knows the husband.
Yep.
And it feels like a stalker thriller, but it's something else entirely, And there are all these little twists, and I can't give too much away because it's one of those, and it has a really shocking ending that just leaves so much to the imagination that it just makes you feel like you're going to vomit in your mouth. I mean, it's like it's really tense in the end.
I'm looking right now, and now I'm looking at like pictures of the movie. I'm like, yep, okay, I remember this very well now. Yeah, because you think it's like one thing, and then it's just nope.
Yeah, goes completely different directions, and then the ending just goes, well, oh my God, I'm dead.
Making a parallel. A book and a film, they are very similar. And when you watch a movie and you already know the end, it's like, all right, I don't mind. I can just stop it and never see it again. What is this challenge of not doing that while writing? How do you come about?
I don't know. I mean, I guess the solution would be is to stay away from movies. Like try not to watch so much, because then you feel like, I always feel like, when I'm writing something, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm creating something, like, did somebody else do this?
Oh yeah.
And even worse, did they do it better? So
it's even amplified now because of online. You see so much on social media, man. Like when I was in a band, and you try to find like drummers just to emulate and look at, and you'd have to go watch like a live performance video or go to the show. Now there's 355 million YouTube videos of these 12-year-olds playing drums like I'll never play. Right?
I know.
We didn't have that resource back in the day. Now it's crazy. So
it's sort of
yeah.
like instantaneous American Idol or something. They're going to be superstars because they have TikTok,
Yeah.
and have made a video, and now it's gone viral, and all of these famous people are wanting to get in touch with them. It's instant superstar status.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And that's even scarier for those of us trying to come up with an original idea is that, well, somebody on TikTok has that same idea now because it came out 10 minutes ago,
It feels like an amalgamation where it's just getting better and building upon what's already there. So it's like this perpetual thing that we're going through, this hyper accelerated moment in creativity where it's not only hard to be original, but just build upon something else and make it more exciting than the previous thing or more engaging. Yeah.
And is it trending? Is it going to trend? That's the most important thing of all. Is it going to trend?
Yeah. So I over the last year I've done like a million master classes because I'm just trying to like be a sponge of on writing stuff, and so I don't remember which class it was, but one of the writers was like, I think it was Dan Brown actually. I've been doing classes for authors I don't read. Like I don't read his books, I'm like, hey, he's a popular author. He's doing something right, and he's from New Hampshire. But he said that he's like, you got to give the reader what they want, so you got to get them to where they want it to be, but you got to get there in a way that they don't expect to see it coming. That he's like, that's what's key is, give them what they want, but don't, give it to them the way they expect it to come, basically. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to think of it, I guess. But
unless you're doing something that's like, Dan Brown's more of a storyteller. Like and I don't want to diss Dan Brown because I was really engrossed in the Da Vinci Code. I was like one of the people who were like, oh yeah, that was fun, okay. But yeah, what about people who write character heavy books?
Yeah.
How do you keep the tension going with a character heavy book rather than a story heavy book?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't.
Be a bit of a wordsmith, and he can get a little wordy sometimes. And that, to your point, like, how do you keep someone engaged that's not into wordsmithery? That just wants to drive ahead. I can get like that sometimes. It really depends on what mood I'm in. But I'm a big Ray Bradbury fan, and when you read his early stuff, you can tell he was really trying hard to be a writer. Like he used a lot of flowery language and all these things. And then you get later on in his career, and it's just, here's the story.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I want. Sometimes I want that. Sometimes I want to sit in my garden and pontificate about all this wonderful vernacular, but it depends. So I got to kind of know what I'm getting into going into it, to your point. How do you keep somebody engaged that doesn't have that ability to mentally adapt, right? Yeah, it's pretty interesting approaches on both sides.
And it goes with film too, and it goes with television as well. I noticed in television, or we don't have television, it's like streaming series is what we have right now, right?
No, same here.
It's like for every horrible reality show, there's a really good drama, so there's no depth of anything. And the storytelling, while the reality is getting even worse, like Love at First Sight or whatever the hell that Netflix thing is.
Love is Blind.
Ozark. There's something really involving and sophisticated writing. So and so storytelling now seems like it would be much more challenging because the audience is now much more sophisticated due to things like Breaking Bad and Ozark. These amazing dramas that are out.
You can compress that. You can compress that in just 2 hour movie. You can't. No.
Well, then you see like these shows though, and it's like, okay, so like Breaking Bad, Ozark, shows like that, like they clearly get it. They know what they're doing. They have it all fleshed out. Like, and then you have a show like Game of Thrones or even Dexter, like to an extent where it's like, how did you get that wrong? Like, how did you you have like the most money in the world. You can hire the best writers in the world. How did you butcher?
Too many writers. Like the beauty of the good ones is that they keep the same people. They don't keep changing every so often. Like The Walking Dead was
I was
actually okay until it got bad writers. So,
Oh yeah, I stopped watching that the season that the pet tiger came along. That was about where it was kind of getting bad before that, but like
Yeah.
that was where my wife was like, all right, like I can't watch this anymore, and then I was like, yeah, I'm all right. I was like fighting it for a bit because I loved like the first 4 or 5 seasons. I loved them. I didn't want to give it up, but
yeah.
I don't miss it.
But like being a writer, you have the responsibility to speak of your times. Sometimes you have the right idea, you have the right script, but you're on the wrong time. Can you imagine a series such as 2.5 Men working these days?
No.
I don't think it would. Even Seinfeld, I love him, but it's outdated.
Yeah.
And
Married with Children, like that show would never make it anymore.
Well, I mean, even that, like All in the Family. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, but you're right. It's for the times. So it is the times. So yeah.
It's very hard to keep up with the times. When I speak about that, I want to ask you: are you concerned about the times we're living when you create something? Like, my God, will I be canceled by just saying this? And will I have to come and apologize? Which I think is terrible for any creator.
Has it happened in? It's happened already. In fiction, there are people who've had to have been canceled, had to apologize. But was it for the fiction or was it for the deed? Was it for the actions of the author? All right.
Yeah. That's another realm.
I know. And yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. What was the one? Was it called American something? And the woman was writing from an immigrant's point of view from Mexico or something, and she was white, and she was they immediately canceled her because of that. But they're not. They're so rare. That's why I remember it, because it's like one, and I haven't heard of anything like it before. But the canceling of the author, I hear quite a bit. Like, that's done, he's done, or she's done for doing that. So yeah. But you're right. We do have to think about. We have to be cognizant of it, and we have to be not necessarily like socially forward, but aware of our audience. Right? We have to be respectful towards them. We do.
Yeah.
So
I'm like that. I'm curious because, obviously, female, protagonists are big right now. Like that's what people want to see, more of that sort of thing, or, protagonists of, different ethnicities and whatnot. But like for myself, I would be so afraid that I would butcher that, like I mean, obviously writers do it. I'm just speaking for myself because I'm a new writer, but like if you had to do that, like you just mentioned, a writer getting canceled for writing, from an immigrant's point of view, like I guess I don't have a question around that. It just makes me nervous as a writer. So like,
you shouldn't feel nervous. Okay, I shouldn't say that, because I think personally, you guys have the hardest job ever as writers because of that. Because, you, like you said, you do have to be a little cognizant of how you present a female protagonist if you're a man writing from a female's point of view.
Yeah.
But that's what sensitivity readers are for. You get beta readers, you get women to read it, women you trust. So, and I think the good authors, no matter who they are, will be cognizant of their audience, and they will be aware of things like that. It's the bad ones who don't care. So
yeah,
just express that you care. So
yeah,
but we could write about aliens, without being.
This is true.
That's true.
Like aliens or ghosts.
My mind just went into, what if you had a pen name? What if it was I don't know, Joanna Durgan writing that, right? And it'd be an interesting psychological study to see how that would be perceived, right? And you pull back the it's like, no, it was written by some dude up in New Hampshire.
No, they'd probably be like, they'd read it and be like, yeah, it's written by a dude in New Hampshire. They'd probably figure it out quick.
Really interesting to find out.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I'm not going to do that experiment.
Do you see? Now you're questioning that experiment right now. So
Yeah.
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 No, I'm not going to be the one to try it. So,
Well,
I was
I was asked some time ago. Somebody asked me. They said, are you ever going to write from a man's point of view? Are you going to write a male protagonist?" And I said, "No, because I'm not. I mean, I'm a woman. Why would I do? I don't want to. I know that's like a challenge to do that, but it's the same concept. Is that I have to have empathy." And I'm sorry, I don't have empathy. I've not walked a mile in your shoes. I don't know what you guys go through. You know, I could write a secondary character by observing, but I couldn't try to get into a guy's mind. I'm not going to do that. So
it's like you're supposed to write what you know. You're supposed to write what you know. And it's like, you know, when you're first thinking of a cool story idea, like I feel like anyone's, you know, natural instinct is to think of how they would handle something, like if they were putting, you know, so like every story idea is like, oh, like if, you know, this dad had these kids and this happened. I'm like, oh shit, like what if I do it as a mom? And I'm like, I don't know how moms think. So you know, but yeah,
that's
so
and that's really intensive. Like if you really wanted to try it, imagine the research for that.
Yeah.
Do you not think that it would be all right to make mistakes? Okay, you can create a male character and you put everything you think about that character there and try to think as if you were the man there. And you have the allowance to make all the mistakes you want to make, even though I don't think there is any mistakes when it comes to creating anything, because it's a work of art. And like when you know about the background of the person, you don't really mind. I just want to see what you think. How did you come to create that character? And it's like you don't have to be a man to work about, to write about the man. You don't have to be a dog to write about his perspective, because it's about creation, it's about poetry.
Yeah.
You have a point. Yeah. I mean, and that would be, like I said, that I think that personally, I think that could be possible to do, certainly possible to do, but research and get readers to help you.
Yeah.
Don't just throw it out there and say, look what I created.
I think I did it right.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
you wouldn't do that.
That's right.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, it would be a learning experience, and it would be probably a bad experience for a writer that, you know, reviewers don't care who you are. Like they're gonna crap all over you if you a male tries to write it, you know, from a female's point of view, and they just don't get it. You know,
I mean,
you're gonna find out.
There's a whole you guys can search this on Twitter. The whole thing about men writing women badly. I don't know, the whole joke that you see.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. And there's I think it's an actual Twitter handle. I think it's actual account. And they give actual examples of famous male authors, like really big male authors, writing terrible passages with women. And man. I'm like, how did they get that way? Because all of the men I know in horror, who write female characters are actually very good. You know, so I'm like, how literary giants like John Updike, you know, people like that, how did they get this? John Steinbeck, you know, how did they get this? How did they not know that? How did they get that so badly?
Oh so man.
Probably are writing for all the men.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the men are like, whatever, dude. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, they're just like, I
can never do that.
Yeah. I want to follow that Twitter handle. That sounds hilarious.
I think it is. Hold on. I'm gonna I'll take a look later. It's fine. I don't want to. Let me go look at that. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. That would be, you know, I forget. It was in one of the Facebook groups, but and I forget her name too. So not that she's watching, but I feel bad if she is. But she was posting about how too many male writers will describe the female characters and not describe the male characters, like appearances, features and whatnot. And she's like, don't do that. And my first thought was like, man, like I would get that. I would never do it. Like, cause that just, you look like, I don't want to say sexist, but it's just like fantasizing almost.
You know, and I'm thinking about it right now, and it's one of those things that because I guess because I'm Gen Xer and grew up with like Married with Children and things like that, those sorts of things kind of roll off my back. Whatever. I read a book and it's like there's the first female who comes in is butt naked in her scene, and it describes her breasts in detail. And back in the day, it didn't faze me. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. That is so bad. And maybe that is a sign of the times too. I've become very cognizant of that. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We are the age that we got the control. When there are any sex scene, we just skip it.
Sex scenes.
Oh my God.
Sex
I don't need that shit.
No, as we're we get older, right? Like we were watching something recently, and my wife was like, "I feel like we're watching like two kids right now," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of weird," And like it was a horror movie, and just so yeah, I guess
makes you feel uncomfortable after a while too. It's like
the
older you get, the more I guess that is you turn. The older you get, the grouchier you get, and so you become like, there is too much nudity in this movie. I don't like it. So,
Yeah.
It has to serve a purpose. If it's only there just for watching, no.
Yeah.
It's only there for watching, Rosario. That's most of it. 95% of the time.
Yeah, of course it is, because they want the younger audiences to
Well, there's clearly still an audience for it, but I won't be the one writing those scenes. Like I said, I'd be looking over my shoulder thinking my wife was like reading what I'm writing and want to leave me or something,
Well, we see that in the comics. They have like new variant covers for no reason in the comic book world, right?
Kenzie, have you seen the series called I think it's Highlanders, something like that?
Homeland?
No, it's not Homeland. I think there's a girl who travels through time, and he's like 400 years back in time in the old Scotland.
Highlander. Yeah.
Highlander. Yeah.
Highlander. Yeah.
I love the series, but there's too much sex in that. Too much.
In the first movie, I remember that. Yeah. But that was in the 80s. It was sort of like it was always that the action movie would throw into just a random sex scene. Just like there's a sex scene right there. Got to have it.
Oh yeah.
Check.
Yeah. It's a great series. It's nice to watch it because a great storytelling, and I love the subject. Time traveling, all that kind of relativity thing.
I thought you were talking about the sex scene. Sorry, like the subject. It's like, man, Rosario.
No.
Time traveling sex scenes, right?
Time traveling, no.
Yeah, they're immortals. They're immortals, right? The Highlanders were immortal, right?
Yeah, it's like a soft porn sometimes.
Yeah. And I think about all the movies that I love. I loved Highlander. I was thinking about, what was that? Hardware. If anybody's seen the Richard Stanley science fiction movie from the 80s. I love that movie, but Richard Stanley can just go to hell. He's just a horrible man. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, no. I was thinking about it. I'm like, the only scene that really springs to mind is the sex scene in that movie. I'm like, what? Why? That's the first thing that sprung to mind. And it was one of those movies. It was one of those 80s action movies that just threw it in there. No point.
Every time there was a sex scene there, I was getting really angry. Maybe I was just jealous because I was watching with my girlfriend. And I know that guy's butt so much. I can draw it by memory. And I just want to skip it. No, keep it there. All right.
I have a thing, I told you, I said, I don't know of horror writers who write women badly and whatnot, but that's not true. I'm going to take that back. Because I can think I have a friend, and I will not mention this friend's name.
He's not watching.
He wrote a book. He has the book out, and he has one woman in it, one key female part in it, and twice the woman appears 3 times, and the first 2 times she's butt naked.
Hey, maybe she lives on like a compound or something, like a.
No,
maybe she's in Brazil.
It was like a 1980s, felt like a 1980s movie. Just walks out of the shower butt naked. Yeah, she's here. Next thing,
Jeez.
butt naked.
Doesn't drive the story forward. It's not critical to the plot, right? No.
No, but
No,
it
no,
feels like the book itself was like an 80s action movie. So I'm like, maybe that was intentional.
Yeah.
That's no much.
Maybe that was intentional.
Yeah.
How do you
want
write a
to
montage
revisit?
scene too? Like if you're trying to base an action movie or a book off an 80s action movie, can you write like a montage scene? Like,
Oh, I don't know. I guess that you'd have to write like really fast chapters. I don't know. How would you do that?
I don't know.
You could do a sex montage scene. That would just be ridiculous. Explosion sex. You know?
Yeah. Oh
You know,
man.
the only sex scene I think would be relevant if they tell the story of Jesus. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I knew all the way that it wasn't this Holy Ghost.
I see.
No immaculate conception. Right?
No.
Oh, man.
Temptation of Christ, right? I mean, you saw that, right? The one from the 80s. I'm not talking about the Mel Gibson one.
I remember that.
I have not seen it.
I think it was
I
Martin
must have seen
Scorsese.
it.
Who? There was a famous filmmaker who made The Last Temptation of Christ. Who was that?
Was it Mel Gibson?
No. That was.
No. This one wasn't in the 80s. This one.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was controversial. I remember at the time people were getting angry about it, which nobody got angry.
Last.
No, you're
Well,
looking at
Willem
The Last
Dafoe was in
Christ.
it. Willem Dafoe was in it.
Yeah.
Harvey
Yeah.
Keitel.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese directed it. Oh wow.
Yes.
There you go.
And it was
I've seen it,
panned.
yeah.
Because, I mean, people didn't like it because of the sex scene in it.
Huh.
Not
I've never seen this.
If I'm not mistaken. So I was just going back to what you were saying. It's just there you go. And
Wow. Oh yeah. Sorry. I'm sitting there looking at like the trailer while I'm talking to you guys. I was like, "What is this? I've never seen this."
and it was in the 80s.
There you go. Oh man.
I rest my case.
I think you should do a book about this. I think it's kind of interesting. You could write all the cliches, right? You could
Oh my
write
gosh, just write a book and just have all of it. But
just call it cliche. That's the title, right? Just cliche.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah, you know, like if you're talking about religion or anything related to it, don't put any sex in it. It's not going to work. You're going to bring an outrage to it.
Oh yeah.
Unless it was like
But
some
it's
sort of
very-
like, if it was like a cult or something, right? Like, I mean, if there was like some type of occult
It's
type
gr-
stuff.
It's great to promote it. Great to promote it. So just
Yeah.
do it.
I mean, controversy sells.
Yeah,
So-
it does. It does sell. Until we're not, breaking out there, making it big, like you have to do
You have
some
to-
things like
You
that.
have to be Martin Scorsese or Mel Gibson. So that's essentially it. In order to be able to do that. And didn't Mel Gibson finance everything himself? I mean, wasn't he already starting to like?
That was when he was already running through some rough times, right? When he was doing that.
And I think he totally financed the Passion of the Christ. He totally financed it himself. That was all him. So
I'm pretty sure he's making a sequel, like an actual sequel to that movie.
Where do you go from there?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just going to tell you when. Okay, so my '80s crush when I was a girl, he was my crush. He was. Mel Gibson was my crush, and so watching what the decline, just watching this man fall.
Yeah.
You- you-
Fell
you
on
ju-
earth.
You just wanted his body because you saw him naked.
My 13-year-old self saw him naked.
I mean, I'm pretty sure as teenagers, that's all, our crushes, that was it, right? Like,
Oh my God. I was young at the time, and every girl was talking about his,
Oh yeah, I mean, what was it? The hit movie at the time. You guys are too young. But
It was the one with Danny Glover.
Lethal Weapon, but Mad Max was before that, right?
No.
was that was me, but that was a cult. Those were cult films. They launched him to superstar status.
Yeah.
But the Lethal Weapon movies made him go whoosh.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was like good, but this was like June. So yeah, but yeah,
There wouldn't be any Mel Gibson if we're not for that.
that's right.
Yeah.
And that was his trademark. Showing his booty was a trademark. He had to show his.
It was, and like if anybody tried to do that, wouldn't work.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like they picked on that in Loaded Weapon with Emilio Estevez, like because
yeah. That was one of my best comic movies ever. That one.
Well, I love all those Zucker Brothers style. I don't know who made that one, but all of those spoofy movies were great.
Oh yeah, it was like
naked. Mel Gibson's butt from memory. Still, can you still do that?
I don't know.
It's kind of white and flabby now. So.
Oh man.
Sure.
I mean, he played Santa Claus in a movie. That's
that was actually really funny.
I loved it. I'm actually I'm friends with the directors of it on Facebook, and I was trying to get them on. But they're doing another movie right now. But they said they'd come on. I wanted to have them come on for our Christmas show because like I love Fat Man. I thought it was like the premise was so funny.
Yeah, I thought I was trying to remember the title. Yeah, it was such a clever story too.
Oh, I mean, a rich kid hiring a hitman to kill Santa because he doesn't get the gifts. Like this is so perfect.
Yeah, it felt like an '80s premise too.
Yeah,
it's such a throwback.
So Walton Goggins was like so good in that movie too. He was the guy that played the hitman.
He's a great character actor.
Oh yeah.
Kenzie, I would love to know your take on, like, have you ever thought of a theory on how audience has got so much more clever now when it comes to watching series because the plots are so well constructed, well written, and they are so bad at choosing their music taste. And do you have a parallel to that?
I don't know. I can't explain that. Okay, I'm getting old, so all the music sucks.
Just because we don't like the new music, it doesn't mean it's bad or zero.
That's absolutely.
No, I mean the ones they're making it big. There.
I know. I mean, and it's really, I mean, like all popular music is like bad to the next generation, right? I mean, isn't the way popular music? I'm already at that age where I'm like going, what the hell is this? Just.
Oh man, I have XM or Sirius, and my son's been having me put it on 90s on 9 or whatever, and I'm like, this just feels modern to me. This is like 20 years ago. Like, oh no.
Same here.
Oh yeah, it's true.
And it was shit back then, but compared to today's, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And then when they get old, they will hate their kids' music.
It'll probably be
go on, and the beat goes on. That's
that's our revenge.
It is like you, like you look at like even back in like when Elvis came out, right? Like now look at it, right? Like people. Obviously, the kids loved it, and the parents were like, "Who is this?" Like
devil's music.
Yeah, exactly. It's never gonna be any different. Now it's like all auto-tune stuff, and you're like, "What in the world? This isn't music," And then you're like, "Oh man, I'm that person now."
Yeah. But then I think about the music that was like, did you like the music that was actually popular? That's the question.
Yeah.
Or one of those people like, I like alternative. I like real alternative, underground alternative, in a basement alternative.
Can you mention Annie?
I'm the worst person to talk about music with. I was on Joshua's Writers on Wax podcast, and I told him, I confessed, I said, look, I have the worst taste in music. All right. I am that child. So when you ask me to recommend something, I won't. I like the basic vanilla pop. I was terrible. So, but yeah, what were we talking about? I'm off on a tangent now. So.
We always do.
Bad music, auto tune.
I get the I get the email, from Ticketmaster about bands in town, and I don't know a single one of them. Like, yeah, my time has officially, come and gone at this point. So I'm there. I've arrived.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I made the joke.
Well, it's bad. I mean, my colleagues and we all have stories about students wearing band shirts in our classes, like Nirvana. I saw a girl in my class, she had Run DMC. I said, "Oh, you like them?" She goes, "I don't know who they are."
Yeah.
All right. That's my daughter.
Yeah. It's a retro shirt. It's cool.
She gets my shirts, and she goes to rock parties, and before now she has learned. Before she does that, she asks me, "Who's this one?" And then I give her like a three or headlines for them, and then she's all right.
It's fashion. It's fashion. They go to, Hot Topic or whatever the hell they go to now, and they just find the T-shirt. Let me wear the Run DMC. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, the difference that she draws too much attention when she wears them, and when I do it, I'm just another old guy.
You're the old guy who knows that band, and you're like, that was a really good band.
Yeah, we can make a podcast about them, but that's it.
Man, I grew up in a house with my taste of music's all over the place. But my parents listened to country music when I was growing up, and I couldn't stand it. I still don't care for it much, but it kind of just, it burned a hole in my soul. Listening to country music my whole childhood. I couldn't do it. They would always put it on, and my dad, when I was a kid, listened to 80s rock, like AC/DC and Aerosmith and stuff like that, and that was all cool. And then they switched to country, and I just remember thinking, man, how can anyone like this? But
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know, but so
don't say anything bad about it.
No. I know I was going with this story. So, and I actually have written about this before too. So I could watch any horror movie in the world as a kid. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street when I was in second grade. That was normal back then, but now it could never happen. But I could watch heads getting cut off, this and that. Yep. But my dad blocked MTV on our TV.
That was weird back then. Parents were weird in what they restricted us to do. I was thinking about that the other day. In fact, my father, my whole thing is, whenever somebody asks, how did I get into horror? I've always been interested, and I realized that I never was permitted to watch regular horror films, straightforward horror, no slashers at all.
Yeah.
But also no monster movies, because the reason why I couldn't watch it was because my father had seen an American Werewolf in London and got really scared from that movie. I mean, he had nightmares. And so we couldn't even talk about it. But they let us watch The Terminator. They let us watch Alien. Science fiction was fine, but Alien is one of the scariest movies ever.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Alien's scarier than American Werewolf in London or whatnot.
He thought it was an ET sequel.
Yeah, and American Werewolf in London is a comedy. It was funny. The whole relationship with his dead friends and whatnot. I mean, it had such great humor in it. But the transformation scenes
were good, especially for back then. They did well with that.
Yeah, and that's what scared the hell out of my dad. He said he said they were so believable, and he was a surgeon, so it was sort of like,
oh no,
watching that, I'm going, oh, no wonder you were freaked out. Okay, they did a great job then. But of course. And as you know, is that if it's forbidden, the kids want to see it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, my sisters and I. We stayed up one night. We saw that movie. We watched The Exorcist because I was babysitting my sisters. The parents weren't there, so that then the floodgates opened. So
There you go, man. That's
All right. Oh God.
yeah. If you don't think I found a way to hack, MTV being locked on our Direct TV, yeah, I found out the passcode. Actually,
right.
I'm pretty sure I begged my mom for it when they weren't home, and she was like, "You just got to make sure it's locked before we get back." I don't want to be the one.
Those are the days as well where you could get like the porn channel, like
Grainy. Like,
static.
No, you get the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's a preview. I don't know.
The music come on, and
You're like, I hope the credits end before the free preview ends.
that's right. Yeah. Come on. I hope this is just it. You can kind of see a shape there. What is that?
that's another crazy thing with 80s movies is the credits, the intro credits, right? Because that was a big thing. They play like 5 minutes of credits. My kid, I throw on 80s movies now. My kids are like, Dad, is this how the movie is the whole time? Now the new films are like, boom, you're in the movie, right? They don't do a lot of credits.
Well, and it makes me wonder if there's no there, and that's why movies like Deadpool are so popular, because they make fun of things like that. The scenes in that movie is the credit scene. I mean, it's hilarious, but it makes fun of those action movie credits. It's just this bombastic things.
This whole animated sequence too, and they like the font would like come and do its own thing and do stuff, and they're looking at me like, what the hell is my dad signed us up for?
Well, don't
like,
show them a James Bond movie then. That'll be
funny.
what?
And that's about the prologues. The James Bond movie were the ones with the prologues before the came on.
Yeah.
And then the James Bond in the
the barrel or whatever,
gun or whatever the hell that was, or I thought it was a camera. It always looked like a camera to me for some reason.
But now they made a way to make you read the credits, because 100% of the films, when you go to a movie, like they have a final scene, something that you hadn't seen in the movie, just to make you watch the credits. And I fucking don't give a damn about it.
That's right.
I'm reading it. And then in every film.
Hero movies did that gimmick, don't they? All the Marvel movies and whatnot. Yeah. You gotta stay after the credits.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Just some character. I don't. I'm sorry, fellas. I don't read like superhero comics. So I was like, I was when the Avengers movie was out at the time, and I was dating a guy who was really into that stuff, and he'd had to explain things to me. So he said, stay after the credits. And I said, why? He said,
"This isn't going to work out."
I was about to say that.
I sit there and I went, I have no idea who that guy is. I don't know why is everybody going crazy? I don't know Thanos. What is Thanos? What is that?
You don't know who Thanos is.
Did you tell him that, guy, you need a girlfriend?
Hey, well, you're not offending us with the superhero stuff, just so you know. We don't write superhero comics, so
you don't.
It's okay.
Right.
No.
Right. One about the little boy with the discovering the machine, the Santa Claus machine.
Yeah.
And then the dead baseball, the dead ball.
Dead ball, yeah.
There's a terrible artist doing that.
Yeah, we just found
some Brazilian guy.
Don't speak ill of the dead.
Yeah, no, we've talked about that. Superhero stuff seems oversaturated. Like it's just you can't avoid it. So
I try to watch the preview for it because I actually like the concept of it, the Doctor Strange trailer and everything. And there was so much crap in the trailer that my eyes hurt when I watched it. I was like watching the Transformers again. I was going, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I on this show, the thing that's really interesting that a lot of the superhero stuff's already been done, but the human interest stories are very popular right now because we all got thrusted into a weird situation over the last 2 years, right? So I think a lot more relationship happening to that versus some guy in tights flying around, doing magical things, We're like, okay. So I think we can relate more with the human interest stories right now.
Yeah. Horror. It seems like horror is out in front and center as well. So
horror's blowing up right now, it seems. I feel like with all the indie publishers now, like that are focusing on horror and stuff too, it's just and like novellas are like big now. Like it's I'd never read a novella in my life until like a couple years ago, and now I feel like I read them more than I read novel-length stuff. It's just I'm like falling in love with like the like boom, like it's just a satisfaction in like 2 sittings, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of maybe that's like we're in the YouTube generation, right? Like my kids won't even watch a TV show on TV. Like they don't know what commercials are, you know. So it's just that instant satisfaction.
That's why TikTok is popular.
Oh, I can't.
How many minutes? It's like 3-4 minutes or tops or something. It's just like
I don't think so. I think it's 30 seconds or something.
Is it? I have no.
I wouldn't know. I believe.
I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not there either.
I didn't time it. I just put up my book time. So it's just weird, you know what?
Yeah. I don't know. My brain always goes to the old fashioned, like, so I'm having my friend, make a book trailer for me, like a movie trailer, you know, like I love those. Like Chismar did it for Jason the Boogeyman, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. I'd rather do something like that than like a 10-second TikTok video, but I'm probably not going to get any, 18-year-old followers, but.
Well, what you need is the way to do it. I'm learning this on TikTok for authors. Is you follow the people who are reviewing the books. They'll do it for you because they'll have like Instagram. They do it all the time. They'll have their book in this amazing setting in the background that kind of with the book. I'm like, they really had some time to do this, didn't they? And it's like the same, yeah. So
like say there's a latte with like some foam art and some leaves, and your book up there and the sun setting, right?
Yeah, that I love that. They did a whole bunch of them, like from Horror Oasis. He did a Westerns background. For all the splatter Westerns. And I thought it was awesome. So
I don't know. Andrew, that's Andrew. That's the book. He must, I'm pretty sure he must do like some graphic design stuff, like for his day job or like on the side or something. Like he just crushes that stuff. Like he just nails it. But actually I don't even know if you knew this, Kenzie, but that's, I have a story coming out in the Beachbodies anthology.
That's another thing that's going on right now. I saw the ad for that. I saw the ad for not the ad. When do I say ad? They're not ads. I see people posting about the beach anthology, and that's another subgenre that's big now. Is the vacation stuff. Cool. Yeah.
I just I don't know. I just wanted to say because he's done so much for the horror community. He's awesome. So but yeah, so he puts those crazy graphics up there when he's doing that stuff that you were talking about. I don't know. I can't.
That's how you advertise that. It's sort of you hope that they'll read the book.
Yeah.
Send the book their way if they want it, and then hopefully they'll put it up with a Western background or a beach background or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Kenzie, I will ask you a question that I asked to a lot of writers. I will just reframe it for you. And when it comes to your joy about what you do, what's the best part of your work? Is when you think about your real rights, is while you're doing your craft, or is it when you see your final product and people are talking about it or reading and are giving you the feedback? Which part is?
Well, since the books were doing really well, it's kind of a combination. I find, the creation of the joy, there is no joy in actually writing. I mean, I don't know, really the process is really grueling. I mean, it is. I tell my students this all the time. But for me, when I think of an ending that's awesome, that's amazing, that's my joy right now. So I might wind up being the person who just loves twist endings, surprise endings. Red Station has a little thing going on, Reception has one. When I get that ending is when I get excited. That's my joy. And character building. I like character building too. But yeah, I mean, I can't lie and say that I don't get a kick out of people enjoying the books, because I do. I think everybody would. you know? So, I mean, it's for you guys too, for your comics and people enjoying your comics. So, and your art. That is thrilling. That is, it makes you feel warm inside that like, oh, somebody gets it. Somebody likes it, you know? And then the other side, I always tell like friends, the other, you know, or students who want to know about the writing process and publishing books and stuff. I said, you will always have people who don't like your work. You will.
Yeah.
You can't, and the more people who read it, there will be some people who don't like it. You know, if you just have like 5 people, all of them are probably going to like it. But if you have like 500, there are going to be plenty of them that don't like it, and that's perfectly okay. Yeah. You're not writing for them. You're writing for the people who liked it.
And they stick out. Most of them
good advice.
out.
I think, you know, the way I look at it, you know, with the negative reviews is like, I honestly would take them, depending on what they said, I guess, but like, I would take them and try to learn from them, especially if you're seeing the same thing pop up a bunch in the bad reviews, right? It's like, okay, well, clearly I'm doing something there that is a lot of people are seeing.
But and on the other side, that's, I mean, we should learn from what other people experience and hope that, like, if there's something wrong and everybody says it's wrong, something's wrong with it, then fix, you know, to learn from the next one. But at the same time, it's a lot of it's very subjective. Like, I had a lot, like I was talking about the structure for Red Station and for Reception. I had lots of people who hated the first half of the books. And then I had a lot of people like it, you know, and the twist, the ending to Reception, Jeff, my mentor, Jeff Strand, he's, you know, he understood that this was going to be, you know, people were going to be divided about it. There were going to be people who hated it and people who liked it. Sure enough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you look at and you're like, some like it and some of them don't. You're not going to change what I enjoyed it. So I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to learn from that. That's that's what gave me pleasure. But if it's something like, if you have terrible continuity, that's not necessarily your fault. The editor should have helped you with that too.
True. This is true. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yep. You know,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna, I had something off topic there. So if you were still going with that, sorry. I just, when you were talking about the pacing of like Red Station, as something popped in my head, and it's funny because the title Red Station, but it kind of reminds me of the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, where it's like it just starts off as this, like, you know, happy. I mean, you know, something's going to go down, you know, obviously, right? But once it starts going, once it gets to that point where, you know, the first death, it's like it doesn't stop after that. So, you know, anyone that would complain about the pacing of that, I don't know. I mean, it's a novella length book, right? I mean, it's not like even if you feel like it's slow pacing at the beginning, I mean, it's still a novella. Like, it's still going to pick up pretty quickly. So.
I watched. Okay, I have this confession with this too. I watched on Twitter. I saw this reader who was like, she didn't tag me, but I saw the title, so I was like watching her. She did that whole Goodreads, the progress of a book, and she read Station, and she was like, "When is this going to pick up? Oh, this is so boring," and you know, and then stopped. And I was like, "Oh my God, she's going to trash the book." She 4 stars, right? Because she got to the point where it suddenly grabbed her. So. I mean, some people don't like it. They don't want the buildup. They just want to plunge right in. Give me the first kill right away with the character, you know?
Yeah. No.
But think of it this way. You are not going to please everybody. And that's okay. That's okay. If the majority are saying it's bad, then it's probably bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, that's a good way to, you know, I guess that's kind of what I meant with like looking at the negative reviews. If you know, if you have a bunch of positive reviews and then you have a bunch of negative reviews saying the same thing, then okay, maybe you can get something out of that. But to your point though, if it's just some people don't like that style or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, then it's not for you. You don't have to read it, you know. Like,
think about the guys we were just talking about, like the guys who wrote The Groomer or Dead Inside, you know, these extreme horror authors. think about their readers.
I can't even imagine. Like, I would be kind of funny to go in and just read some of the 1-star reviews for those books and be like, "What is this? Like, what did I just read?"
Well,
Yeah.
I never understood this. Like, do you not know what you're getting into?
Right.
Or you're saying this is not for the faint of heart. This is extreme. Or warnings all over the place, and they're like, I'm just gonna do it anyway. So, the book The Groomer's about. You know.
Yeah, the cover is a hook with like a teddy bear on it, basically saying it's trying to lure a kid in, you know, and it's called The Groomer. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I don't even know the plot of it. I just the cover and the name. I'm like, and seeing what people said about it.
That's what it's about. I haven't read it either, but I read the synopsis. I was like, duh, okay.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Anyways, I wanted to ask when we were talking about like horror western stuff, if you've ever seen Bone Tomahawk.
Yes.
Okay.
I love his writing too. Wraiths of the Broken Land. Yeah. Yes.
I busted this out for tonight, Joel. I don't always have this next to me. Yes. Yeah. This guy is awesome. Yes. I got the books after I saw Bone Tomahawk because I was looking up to see what else he did. Yep. I'm like, wait, he wrote horror westerns? Like, what? So, yeah, it's great.
He's a phenomenal writer. And what I tried to do was one of the things that I had the hardest time doing was I was so aware of the language used in it. Like, what was the language like then in terms of, was it like Deadwood?
Oh, yeah.
You know, what was the authenticity of the language? Because we don't have recordings. We have written prose. That's what we have. So his work and Cormac McCarthy and I can't think of the other person. I try to do sort of a style of Red Station to keep that sense of formality going. But he gets prose so good in Wraiths of the Broken Land.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Super violent. He is a splatter Western guy.
Yeah, well, I guess technically those are my first. I shouldn't say yours was the first one. Then I apologize. His books are the first splatter Westerns I read. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Bone Tomahawk, you've got to watch that movie. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I've heard of that. Yeah, but there's another one. I'm
oh man, it's got Kurt Russell in it. It's. I was surprised at how much I laughed too. There was a lot of humor in that movie.
It was funny. I think the dialogue between the guys, between the men, and the characters were so good. Yeah. That's another thing is that I like the Westerns that I really liked, like that one, had great characters to it that were completely different from each other. They weren't the standard tropes, and they, you know, like the two sisters in that one, and the kidnapped sisters and the brothers who are out to get that, to rescue them, and the husband and them.
Yeah. Oh man, I kind of want to watch that again. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I just my wife and I binged 1883.
The Yellowstone prequel.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I love it. Again, something I wouldn't have even looked at before. You know, like I feel like I got to go back and watch some of like the big westerns from like the '90s because like I just stopped it. I'm like, I've never seen Tombstone. No, I'm not gonna lie. Never watched it.
I liked I really liked Unforgiven because I like stories that involve like older men and heroic acts. I do like that. What was I going to say? But the horror Western has been going on for a while too. I mean, even in cinema as well. I was going to say one of my favorite horror Westerns was set during the Spanish Civil War. It's Ravenous with Robert Carlyle in it and Guy Pearce. About cannibals. Yeah. Another one about they're all cannibals, right? But the whole notion that if you eat the cannibal, the belief is Native American belief that if you eat a man, if you eat him, you take his strength. So you become stronger the more you eat. So yeah, I love that movie. And
I don't know if I've ever seen that one actually. I was just reading about that one the other day. I feel like
directed by a woman, directed by Antonia Bird. So yeah,
cool,
good one.
Yeah.
Are you guys watching Westworld at all still? I think they're still
I
making
stopped that. I started watching the second season because the first season I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And then I kind of gave up after the first 3 episodes of season 2. But
It's a little tricky. It gets a little murky after a while. But I watched the whole thing. I've seen all of them so far. Yeah.
is it still, is it worth? I mean, I liked it. I just I don't know. I felt like they could have spread it out a bit more. They didn't have to. Season 2 didn't have to go right into the invasion type thing, right? Like
I think it was also, it didn't help that the source material, the Michael Crichton or original source material from the movie was I mean it was just they get out and that's it, or they fire and that's it. So the world building in it gets a little complicated, I think, in Westworld. I don't know, but I did like in the other seasons. I like seeing the other worlds.
That's what I was just gonna say. I love the idea. That idea is awesome. Like each individual world, and then I felt like they could have almost, maybe it would have gotten old at some point. I don't know, but they could have done a season of each world and then had an invasion of them all after that. But
where they went. They wanted to be very existential with it too. So giving AI a life.
Season 1, I was hooked on season 1 though. I every week I couldn't wait for that, but
that was great. Yeah,
it is very challenging to create something good and keep on doing it for 5, 6 seasons. Is unless you have written it all before, but sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you do a script and you envision to be just for 10 episodes, and then you sell it so well, people love it, and you have to make it work for another 5, 6, 10 years.
Yeah,
that's overwhelming, and I don't know how some of them can pull it out.
Sometimes you just got to let it go at one season, right? Like Mayor of Easttown, was a 1 season show, and they're trying to make season 2 now. It's but how? Why? I guess Kate Winslet was I'll come back if the script is good, basically. But it's but what else would you tell?
Well, this was a different story, right? Yeah. I think another thing is sort of they'd have to have a completely different story, or they do something like True Detective and have a completely different set of characters and stories. Love first season of True Detective. It's one of the best. I don't know.
Season one is one of the best seasons of TV ever.
And because it was Southern Gothic horror too, which I love. So, but they kind of. The second season was terrible, and the third season was okay. But
I like season 3 a lot. I actually did. I watched 2 episodes of season 2, and I'm like, "What? This isn't True Detective. This isn't even anything like it. What is this? This is an action show."
Wasn't very mystery.
I was intrigued by the cast, and then the concept when I read it, I'm like, okay, but it wasn't I wanted. Season 1 felt like I was watching, 7, I was watching the movie 7 basically. And that's the vibe I wanted. So season 3 got a lot of that vibe back, but it was still, season 1 will never get topped. That was just amazing. So
I hope they do Mayor of Easttown kind of that they dealt with this one mystery, this murder mystery, and then they have another murder mystery, but then it'll be the curse of how many dead people can wind up in the same town. So.
Well, have you watched Sinner at all?
Yes.
So they pull it off actually. Obviously you have to have a little bit of suspension of disbelief here because you're how does Bill Pullman's character just keep ending up in these spots where it's these cults or this or that, and it's
no, but at least that was not too much suspension of disbelief because that became his specialty.
Right.
So, okay, you are the guy that we need to talk to about this strange, murder, death, this person who's guilty of possibly killing somebody, but we don't know the motive. We don't know the backstory, whatever it is. But
if I have to leave not a recommendation, but a suggestion to watch, I would love you guys to see Inventing Anna.
Oh, that just came out, didn't it?
I posted about that. I did, yes. And then
you watch the I'd say like 5 chapters is not great, doesn't do. But after the sixth one, it starts to wheel up.
Rhimes, I'm telling you, Shonda Rhimes stuff, like her produced and written, her work. She's one of those people. She did Grey's Anatomy. I mean, come on. I'm like, Grey's Anatomy, I hate that show. But she understands cliffhangers, and she understands how to keep you, like, it's like candy. You're like going, holy cow, what's going to happen next? So
exactly, because I didn't like it, but I kept on watching it, and now I love it.
You know, you have to give credit for that. What is the actress's name?
The one from Mozart? I forget her name, but
yeah, she's great. She's very good.
Amazing. And I had a friend who said that accent is so strange. I said, no, you have to listen to her interview on Jimmy Fallon about her accent.
Yeah, I saw that clip. Yeah, that was wild.
I was like, that exactly. And it showed like later on you saw a clip of the real girl, the real Anna Sorkin, was that her name? Whatever her name was. And she sounded just like her. I mean, it was
wild.
Amazing.
That clip on Jimmy Fallon was insane. Like how she's talking about how she did each little thing.
You should watch. It's not Russian. It's not Eurotrash. You know, lines at all. It's really.
Yeah, that was cool. I don't know the backstory behind the real girl though. I don't know what it's about. But
she's a con artist. But she was a con artist with a vision.
Yeah, exactly.
She had a vision. She had this idea, but she just did not want to take any sort of responsibility for the things. I mean, she was stealing essentially.
She's the female version of the Tinder swindler.
And they came out at the same time too.
I haven't seen that either. I haven't watched that either.
Oh,
I don't know.
And there are all these memes going around saying, what if they were dating each other?
That would be great. It would be a big.
Well, they wouldn't get anywhere because they wouldn't,
Yeah, they couldn't.
$1,000. Okay, well, I'll wire it. I'll send it to you. It's in the mail. I sent it to you. What's wrong?
Yeah, just bring my fucking helicopter. I have to get out of here.
Did you see? I saw the other day that Netflix paid the real Anna girl like $350,000 for her story, basically, which I guess is I saw that, and apparently that's like well beyond what they normally would pay somebody, and they just had to have it. But that's a con artist getting rich, That's
well, I mean, criminal politicians, criminal people getting lots of money, it sucks. We need to get money for our writing. That's not fair.
Well, just gotta find a way to be
fair.
So Netflix might be your cash cow because they're buying shit all over the place right now. So, yeah, I hear they're gonna spend over $1 billion this year on content. So,
well, and that's why our monthly costs have gone up.
Yeah. I really got to stop. Like, I got the most basic cable package only because I had to have it for high-speed internet. Otherwise, I would have paid more for internet because that's how the cable companies work. But and I would do like the free trial of Paramount Plus, and then the free trial of Apple TV, and then I'm like, I still have them all. Like I just don't cancel them, and then I have pretty much every streaming service, and like because there'll always be one show on one of them that you want to see, and it's like I got Paramount Plus because I wanted to check out The Stand. And then I didn't even finish it. It was awful. Like the time hop and stuff. And I'm like, what is this crap? Like, just follow the story. But that's why I got it. And I never canceled it after that. And then now 1883, I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm keeping it for a bit. So, but
isn't that the way? That's how they grab you. Is to sort of
space it out.
Like I was like, I have Disney Plus. I'm like, what the hell am I doing with Disney Plus? I'm like, I got it for my nephews when they come over, And I watched The Mandalorian. I like The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I like that series. It was adorable. It was really sweet.
Yeah, it is good.
And so I'm like, oh, I guess that's why I have it now, exactly for one show.
Yeah. And then now they're gonna make you wait an extra year.
Yeah, you can buy the DVD set at the end, right? For what, $39.95 instead.
Or you can just download it using torrents.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Allegedly. I went through my college days burning CDs illegally on Napster.
LimeWire. It was LimeWire
LimeWire.
in my days.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Lime-
God! Now Napster was the king. It was like a
Right.
break into a store and stealing things.
Did you feel so naughty taking music?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. You would instantly go on to see if like a song was available that was like
Yeah.
on the radio. Yeah.
Well, that beats like when I mean back in the 80s, when if you wanted a song and you just wanted the song, you'd have to wait until it was on the radio and then record it. I mean,
Yep.
With a cassette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, you're
Oh.
not that old. The 80s? You mean the 90s?
No,
No,
80s,
no.
80s, bro.
y'all ain't old. No, I am.
I did that in the 80s. I remember that. But I don't-
I am officially the oldest here all the
How
time.
old are you?
I'll be
Oh,
52 in August.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 49. I turned 49 last month.
Well, I know I'm always the youngest here, but
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
yeah.
Apart
I'm
from
a
the
kid.
time
Yeah,
that we
cassette tapes. They were called cassette tapes, right?
I
and you used to-
please. I had a cassette player in my car. I'm not, I'm still an 80s kid.
Well, that's not.
Come on, you
They kept those things. They kept those things in the car for the longest time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, up until like what 2016, 15, 16, they still had them.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
You don't even have CD player. You don't even have CD players in your cars anymore. Like my car doesn't
I
even
have
have.
one.
It just has an auxiliary port. That's it. I'm like,
I have a CD player.
Oh, really?
Like 2014. So
that's probably like one of the last years. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of them still do, but I have a Jeep, and yeah, I'm like, I don't use my CDs anymore, anyways. But yeah, I couldn't if I wanted to. I'd have to buy some portable CD player for the auxiliary port and play it that way or something. But it's just crazy that they're just not even doing it anymore. It just makes you.
Well, yeah.
radios that would have fixed programming on them, and you couldn't choose your song. I don't know if you
Right.
realize this, but this was not the. It's making fun of
Right.
John being
Yeah.
young. Yeah.
If I lived in a place, I really wanted to live near a university because they always had a local station run by university
Yeah.
students, and they'd play good music. They wouldn't play all this crap that kids like.
Oh, you're welcome. I ran one of those. I did all that. So. That was me. I was the guy behind the scenes.
You were
Yeah.
the DJ at this campus.
Yeah. So
DJ
it was
university.
kind of funny. Well, there was a school, right, and that it was like a private school, charter school, whatever you want to call it, boarding school. The kids lived there, and then they had this radio station, and nobody was using it. So my friends and I just kind of broke in there and commandeered it and started putting out shows. And this was in like 92, 93. We would just go on like this
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday night, and we just play. We would play like Beck Loser before it even became a thing. And then it became huge. Like that's the era, right? So yeah, we were doing all that. So, we'd be excited if somebody actually called the station. We had the old phone, you put it on the thing, record it. So have one live caller, like somebody actually called.
So we called with a request.
Yeah, right. It's hilarious. Like, somebody listen to this thing. But it was like that scene in Terminator 3 when John Connor goes into the bunker, at the end and blows the dust off the old equipment. That's literally what this radio
That's
station
it.
looked
Yeah.
like.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone quote Terminator 3.
I know that's a very random.
I've never seen that one. No.
No, I've seen it. That was Arnold was in that one, right? That was
Yeah.
yeah. He had the shotgun at the cemetery. That's the only thing I remember from that movie.
Well,
But
The female too, when she could have the gun arm. that,
oh
like,
right, yeah.
The only thing I remember about Terminator it was Guns N' Roses song, and that scene with the motorbike.
That was the second one. Yeah. That
Yeah,
was-
T2 is just
President-
amazing.
President
Yeah,
Day.
yeah, okay. I saw two of them,
Yeah.
not the
And there you
third
go.
one.
You're fine with that. 3's okay, but that's a real, yeah. And my wife always said her classic line with Terminator is, "There's no way that Eddie Furlong would grow up to become Christian Bale." That was always her line. Yeah,
How many John Connors were there? I mean, come on.
he's
Nick Stahl.
back. He's coming back in the next one. Eddie Furlong's got like detox.
Serious?
Yeah, he went through rehab and he's coming back for like
Yeah.
the new one. But they're talking about from a writing angle, like how do you make him relevant now? Because he's been the kid, he's been the grown up. He's been the protagonist. He's been the bad guy. Like, what the hell are they going to do with John Connor character at this point that hasn't already been done that makes him interesting?
Yeah, I don't know. T2 is like one of my favorite movies ever, but I just I don't know. I got bored with the other ones. I don't know. I think I said on the show before, my brother and I used to go outside and pretend or try to run like the T1000. Like we would have our hands like this because we thought it would make us faster. It didn't work.
Yeah, and you
it's like,
able to flip through bars, because of that metal, that melted metal. Just
yeah. Most kids wore different shoes to think they got faster. I was thinking I was like a robot, so yeah.
The future.
Guys, my theory is that we had to play with our imagination at the time because the special effects, they were so bad. And we had to use our minds to make it look good. Because if you play any of those films on a 4K TV screen, you can see that, my God, how could I like that? Because you are the best part of the production.
Well, wasn't the second Terminator? Wasn't the second Terminator the first in CGI? Like the number one? Like,
one of them, yeah.
And it was like Jurassic Park, and then sort of. I think it was the second one. I think it was the second.
There was a second one, the cradle of CGI, when you have the metal melting. That was the cradle of CGI. Everything that we see today is due to that kind of accomplishment that they had at the time.
And green screen.
Yeah. No, what you just said, Jurassic Park too. Like Jurassic Park and Terminator 2 are the two movies that come to mind when I think of like early CGI that still kind of holds up. Like, if you go back and watch it, they still look.
Jurassic Park was. I mean, Spielberg was always clever. I mean, it was just sort of like Terminator felt a little dated because Jurassic Park at least was able to blend animatronic.
Right.
CGI, which was really amazing. So, like the eye of the T-Rex, I just remember that, just the pupil dilating. It was like,
oh man, they had a Jurassic Park show. They were like touring around the U.S. Like it was like animatronic dinosaurs, like the size of from the movie. And I was so excited. I bought tickets. I was going to take my son, and that was right when I bought it before the pandemic. And the show was supposed to be in April of the first year of COVID, and so they canceled it. And I was so bummed out because like there was going to be a life-size T-Rex, and I got front row seats. Like I'm like, I'm going to scare the shit out of him. Yeah, but
I love that. I love that. Is it Universal that has the Jurassic Park ride and everything?
Yeah,
it has the Velociraptor picture area where the Velociraptor, it's a person, isn't it? And they're like come up right behind to the kid taking the picture, and they
yeah.
My nephew he had nightmares for a long time.
Well, if you go on the ride too, and at the end you're going down, and it's the T-Rex like looking like it's gonna eat you. Like I remember my my younger brother being terrified when we did that when we were young. But
and now they've updated it, and I think it's like I what was it? I saw the trailer for the new Jurassic World, and it has all of the original actors coming back.
Yeah, they brought everyone back. Everyone's bringing back the legacy characters of all their series.
Revival.
Yeah.
This thing about thinking about the past is something that I did recently. I bought what's the name of that game? It's a video game, the most famous now. No. I mean the console.
Neo Geo.
No, it's not Xbox. It's the other one.
PlayStation.
Not the Xbox. PlayStation. I bought this PlayStation 1, all right, to give to my kid. Firstly, because it was inexpensive, and he's 7. And I was thinking, my God, I love that video game back then. He's going to love it. And then I bought it, put on TV, and I have a big screen, and he started to play. He figured out how to play it very quickly and said, Dad, this is shite.
Yeah.
Have you seen there's a meme actually that I've seen that is hilarious, and it reminds me of what you just said, Rogerio. It was a meme of like a PlayStation 1 game or Nintendo 64, and it was like it said something like graphics will never get better than this. Like it's like a kid in
Yeah,
1990
exactly.
said graphics will never get better than this, and then it's like this
That's the
pixelated guy.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or Laura Croft.
I know.
he looked at me as I get your money back, Dad. I was so embarrassed.
Isn't it? And the ones that we thought were so sophisticated, like Tomb Raider, and you know, like they
That
were
was what I was just gonna say.
so
Tomb
bad.
Raider. Yeah, well, like Tomb Raider now, like you, like back in the day, every kid like had a crush on Laura Croft, and like you look back now, I'm like, oh my god, like that's embarrassing. And then like the gameplay, she's like walking like a robot. It's not even like, you know.
And she has the same like grunts, you know, like the same grunts whenever she falls and screams.
Yeah.
You know, it's about anchoring your expectations. Back then, we didn't have anything, and it was great. But now they have on the tip of the fingers, and it's nothing to them. Like if they play Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah, we grew up in the Spielberg era. You know, the Spielberg movies were like our Hitchcock. It was sort of, the spectacle was amazing. Can you imagine those? Like, I always wondered what it would have been like. I was really little at the time when Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
And just was completely different from anything they'd ever done in there out of all the films. Just like completely changed cinema forever.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, if I was like a kid in that era when it first came out, I feel like I still did want to make like stories, right? Obviously, but like I would have just been obsessed. I know I would have, you know.
I remember seeing The Empire Strikes Back, you know, but I now as an adult, I just wish I could have remembered seeing like Star Wars. I was like, what, 4, 3? I was really little. So
you were 9 or 8 at that time, because I remember very well. I watched it in 1982. I
Which
went
one?
to
Was that Return of the Jedi?
That was Return of the Jedi.
Star Wars 1 was 78, wasn't it?
I think there was Empire Strikes Back.
77, and Empire Strikes Back was 79, and Return of the Jedi was 83.
I was on.
Yeah. I don't know
Jedi.
why I remember dates so well. I just, like, from 80s movies, I can remember.
I can remember the crowd outside the theater for Return of the Jedi. And there was like somebody dressed as Darth Vader, and we drove by with my parents. I'm like, what's going on over there? I remember seeing Darth Vader. I don't know, just 4, 5, 6 at the time. And it's like, oh, that's the movie premiere for the new Star Wars. But I remember the hype with people all piled out into the street.
Yeah. And then they brought the prequel, whatever, the first 3, and then the new ones, and it just sort of, and now they have a theme park area.
Yeah, right.
I know. I kind of want to go there. I'm not gonna lie. I want to check it out.
I was watching a TikTok thing. I like the travel TikToks because they're just little glimpses into what. And what is the Star Wars, like the hotel experience thing, is like $6,000.
Oh my gosh!
I went, what the hell? Who can afford this?
That's wild. Yeah, I know. So when we went to Florida growing up, and this is what I did. So I took my kids again right before the pandemic, like the April before, and my parents used to rent a house on the outskirts, like in Kissimmee, like a nice beach house, and because they have so many communities there, it's dirt cheap. Like Disney was like an 8-minute drive, you know. Yeah, I can't even imagine now. But right before the pandemic, like I paid less for a house there for a week with like a nice in-ground pool, and like it was like a big house.
Yeah,
I paid less for that than I do like a little like 2-bedroom house up in Maine when we go up to the beach. Like,
oh yeah, well there's no comparison, and that's because Central Florida is just vacation paradise. So
yeah.
So, but yeah, the prices are really jacked right now. I'm like,
everything is everywhere.
I look at it every time because I have little nephews, you know, and they want to come. They want to come. So go to Harry Potter at Universal, and so.
What I hear it's $250 a ticket for Disney now.
Oh no way! Is it?
It's absurd.
I thought I heard like $230.
Yeah, if you live in Florida, you know, it used to be that you knew someone who worked there, so you'd get in free.
Right. Yeah.
That was always the case, and then that kind of ceased. They stopped doing that. You know, they stopped letting people just in for free like that, and that was when the prices started going. They started going ridiculously high, and you know, and then everybody in Florida was like, Central Florida, like, no, the way to do it is you get yourself a season or a year pass, and Florida a resident pass, and now that's bad.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is it really? Oh my gosh. I remember this will make me look like a geek. I don't know. But my best friend and I, for spring break one year, we did a road trip. We weren't 21 yet. You know, we didn't have fake IDs. So we did a road trip down to Florida. We drove from New Hampshire to Florida, straight through because we were broke. And, and we went to all the theme parks. Like that was our spring break that year. We didn't go out drinking or anything. But I remember paying like $70 for a ticket, and that was like only 20 years ago.
I remember paying like $45 when it was like when I had to start paying for tickets. You know,
it's a little off. I just looked it up. It's $109 a ticket.
Okay,
So,
still,
I mean it's still
like
high, but
$100. You know, you're like for a day, one park.
Right.
And if you have like my kid, when we went, my son was 5 or 6 and my daughter was 2, not even. So like she doesn't even remember it, right? But like now, like so we would go, you know, and you don't even get a full day in at the park. The kids are exhausted. You're just, you know, so we were trying to buy passes. Like my wife and I went back at night to catch the fireworks and like try to go on rides to get our money's worth. But like it's you have
to you have to do it for a year. You have to get a year pass, you know, well, back when it was affordable anyway. And then you could go whenever you want, you know, just like Florida, you just go for the weekend, ride 2 rides and go to a restaurant, and that's it.
This might have been the one. It was 2 park, 3-day base, and 2 days free was $235.
Yeah,
that's right. Right. Crazy.
That's sad. We used to go to like that was like our thing. Like as growing up, I went to all those places. Like
some people went
every year, almost every year. There was like 2 years we didn't go because of financial stuff. You know, it wasn't cheap, obviously, but yeah, like we wouldn't go to every theme park every year, but we went to Florida every year for 2 weeks, and we'd usually go to 3 or 4 theme parks over a 2-week stretch. And we now half those rides aren't even there anymore. Like the Back to the Future ride and the Jaws, the King Kong, like all that stuff's gone. It's kind of sad.
And that's why the prices are jacked up, is because the rides are improving. You know,
they're way better.
I was impressed with the Transformers ride at Universal, and now it's like outdated. I'm like, it's only been a couple of years. You know,
I haven't even been there since they've had that. So yeah, I don't even know what did that replace? Because I know Spider-Man replaced King Kong. I know that.
I don't know what it replaced, because I've always because it seemed like it was its own building, you know, because it had like the Transformer, the giant statues outside of it and everything. I don't know, but I want to know what replaces it, because obviously that's
not going to last.
It's not. Who watches the Transformers now? You know, I mean, just.
Yeah.
And a 2 ride too. There. Speaking of going back to Terminator 2, they had that at Universal.
They had.
No, that was a show.
That was that's right. It was a 3D movie, and they had like a show before it. So like they had a woman dressed up as Linda Hamilton, you know, Sarah, and her son, and they had like the animatronic. There were actors in animatronics that did it.
It was all intertwined. You had the 3D glasses on, so like when Arnold, you know, definitely wasn't really Arnold, but when he would shoot, like you would see something come at your face, basically, stuff like that. But yeah, that was cool. I don't think that's there anymore.
No,
I'm so embarrassed to let you know that I don't have an idea what animatronics is.
Oh, like the robot
robots.
stuff.
It's like robot. They're
Uh,
basically like robots.
Somebody dressed up as a robot.
No. It's an actual machine.
Actual machines.
All right.
Yeah, Disney World is like filled with it.
All right. You mean like a robot, an actual robot?
Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's like I guess it would be our current equivalent of robots. Yeah.
Like
It's
a
like a realistic looking
robot.
Yeah. No. I mean a robot, like a way to entertain people.
They are. That's what they are.
All right.
So when we were talking about Jurassic Park, right? So like Jurassic Park had some CGI, it had some puppet stuff, and then it had some animatronics, which are basically they build them with like actual real looking skin on them, and like they control them with like a remote and stuff. Like
And pretty much
got
all of the theme parks, especially Disney World and Universal, had like animatronic like characters and things.
I see.
You go on a ride, it was there, and they,
Yeah. Actually, I have a friend here who made a lot of money because he created a robot to do that on parties. The difference is that he pretends that is an animatronic, but there's someone there wearing the robot outfit, and he goes with the control. He used to do it, but now he pays somebody to do it.
Well,
he
made
made loads of money.
Every time I see one of those videos of the real robots that they're making.
Oh yeah,
they're pretty.
Seen that dog thing? It's like weird. Yeah, somebody was like posting that. They're like, "Oh, it's pretty cool to see somebody walking a mechanical dog at the park." I saw that actually yesterday. It's funny you bring it up, and I was like, "Yeah, that's how Skynet starts." Like,
that's exactly it. And the ones that are the android-looking ones that are human-looking. Oh my god, it's creepy as hell.
Yeah.
So you know that. I mean, the government's 25 years minimum ahead of where they let us think they know that they're at. So it's safe. It's safe to really think if you can see that now. Like, what does that look like 25 years from now? My God, they could probably have a torso like this that's realistic. That's talking about.
Did you see a couple months ago? There was a story that broke about like they were making two robots reproduce, and like someone was like, "All right, well, this is how the world ends." Like, what the hell? Why?
Skynet, we're done. That's it.
Yeah, they could easily make an animatronic.
Now we are back to the cybernetic porn.
Yeah.
On that note, hey, this has been a show full of tangents. So we didn't really talk about the book that much. I apologize. We kind of just went off.
No, there's no promotion here. Like if you come here, it's very likely that we're not
going to talk about
not talking about your stuff. No.
I usually try to bring it back to the subject, but
sometimes,
right?
Yeah.
No. Well, we can do it. Again. I now feel weird because I feel like everyone's waiting for me to do it now. But
no, it's all right.
No, I would say
she's still here.
I'd say again, no. Red Station was awesome. You guys should check it out. It's on Audible too. I saw that, so that's cool. But it's a great story, especially if you like some gory horror filled Western stuff. I am like I said, I'm starting to get obsessed over splatter Westerns. They're like what I search out now, I feel like. But and like I said, apparently I lied because technically this is the first one I ever read. But I still give you credit for the first of the series that they're doing over there at Deadhead Press. But and did I say the publisher name right? I hope I didn't butcher that.
Deadhead Press, yeah, you did.
Deadhead Press, yeah, okay, good. I know them. I just feel like I said it wrong. But yeah, so check it out. What do you got going on currently? What do you?
Well, actually, there is an anthology coming out next week. It's Slasher from Kenzie Press, and a whole bunch of. It's a women's anthology about exactly that, slashers.
Nice.
Wow.
And I've got a story in that that's coming up. I've got a couple of other anthologies that I've committed to that are coming out later this year. And then I'm working on a novella with a writing partner right now, and I've got latching on to what you're talking about. I have the first few chapters of Northway, which is the sequel to Red Station.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
It's kind of a sequel and a prequel because it's about the heroine in Red Station.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome.
How is it to work with a writing partner? Because
well, this is a very different kind of. It's not what I'm going through with this writing partner is not conventional. He is a screenwriter, and he's written a screenplay, and I'm working on the novella version of it, and conferring with him about it and stuff like that. So it's not usually it's from what I hear from other people who've worked with other co-writers. It's usually like they write a chapter, and so on, or it's not my situation is not like anybody else's. It's not the typical collaboration. So anyway, yeah. But that should be done by midsummer. I'm because of my job, I'm like I stop and go, and my writing is like I wrote a little bit yesterday, but I'm not going to be writing this weekend because I've got grading to do. My job, and I keep telling people, look, you get what you get because I have to take work home all the time, and that's the job I chose for benefits so that I could have medical benefits.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Jeff Strand, when we had him on, like he was talking about how I didn't realize he worked his day job up until like just recently. So that's I can't imagine how all the benefits are through me for my family. I can't even imagine how successful I'd have to be as a writer to even say, all right, now's the time I'm done.
He told you because I watched that interview with him, and he is like he and Brian Keene, all these writers who write, this is what they do. They're constantly writing. It is a real job. It is not a like I'm going to write a little on the weekend. This is not, I'm writing 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock. This is what I'm doing, or whenever Jeff he churns out like how many books a year? I mean, never mind the short stories. It's like a whole bunch of books a year. I'm like, that man has got like 100 books to his credit, I'm sure, by now.
At least.
I'm not exaggerating. He's got like, if you look at his, his whole line of books, it just keeps going and going and going. So if you want to do it full time, you have to constantly be churning out work all the time because that's the revenue. So
it's what I mean. Like Ronald Kelly still works a day job, and he's obviously a well-known horror author. You wouldn't, you pick up his book, you wouldn't think that he's still doing something on the side, but I think it was Brian Keene that was saying it to us too, was that, it's, you make a good living, but I mean, not everyone is Stephen King, not everyone, not anyone.
I was just really shocked at things like how little writers get respect, sort of why should you have to put a GoFundMe for your health if you're a full-time writer? That's just horrible. You shouldn't have to do that. So we gotta, some of us, this is what we gotta do.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm to the point now where like my day job's flexible enough. On my lunch breaks, that's the only time I write during the day, I promise.
I'm so mentally exhausted. I try to explain this to people. I said, you have to imagine having to grade student writing and give feedback every day. Yeah. And not good writing. That's even worse.
Yeah.
So it's mentally exhausting. So I have to have at least a few days where I can just so I don't get burnout. I need to recharge and then I can write, because I can't write every day. I can't do it.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine if I had to do like what you're doing, and then write after that. I can't even.
Nope.
At least like like Joel said, like we talk to clients all day long for our day job. We're in finance, so it's easy for me to turn the switch off and then turn creative mode on, because that's all I want. Like at that point, I just want to write and have fun. Like I try to sacrifice as little family time as possible. So most of my writing is done after my whole family goes to bed. And I hate writing at night. I'm a day writer. Like if I can write during the day, that's when I crush.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Kansas, let me tell you something. Those guys, they never sleep.
we've
They
kind of calmed down a
never
bit.
sleep. Like
Yeah.
I'm 2 hours ahead. Like
Yeah, you're crazy.
I go to bed the same times that they are doing. When I wake up, they are already up, which is impossible. And John reads all the books. Like if we have 3 shows a week, he has read all of them.
All of the author's work already.
Yes,
Well, listen,
he
first of all,
does.
I book 90% of the
does.
guests, so I'm selfish. I book guests that I've already read mostly, so it's
No,
not like
It's not fair. It's not fair. My day has only 24 hours. It's different. Those guys, I don't know. They're on another level. Like I need to sleep. I need to eat. I need to go out sometimes. They never do it.
Just need a house.
I understand this completely. I treasure sleep more than anything.
You're right.
Yeah.
You are right, because we want to live.
Listen, no, this is all since we've been working from home, like, because I can wake up and come downstairs in my pajamas if I want to work. Like when I had to drive an hour commute, I was up at 5 a.m. every day. Like I wouldn't be staying up till midnight, 1 a.m. Like it wouldn't happen. But now I'm like, when we actually have to go back to the office, I'm going to be screwed, because like I've just adjusted.
Yeah.
I still get 7 hours of sleep. I get almost a normal night's sleep. 7 hours is decent, right? Like that's not terrible. But yeah, I don't know. Like I could not go to bed at 1 a.m. and wake up at 5. I would be miserable. So don't feel like, Rogerio, this is only since the work from home thing started. I was never a night owl before.
Well, and that's right. It's changed the landscape of work. I actually do most of my teaching now for the past 2 years has been online.
Yeah.
So, but I'm constantly reading bad writing, no matter what. I'm constantly reading bad writing. Not all of it is bad, but
So Kenzie, you do teach writing classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so much more to ask you, and like I have my list here, but I don't have to go through it. But when it comes to teaching someone how to write, and that it's not only about words, it's not only about grammar or how much you know about the language. What's the core of it? What do you want your students to learn?
I see. Okay.
Primarily.
Well, wait. You see, I teach freshman composition. In American colleges, it's sort of the standard. You have to take it. It's the course that prepares you to write research papers, because that's what we do. We research, right? And you have to prove theories and whatnot. So the objective is just simply getting them to that point. And I have students who can't understand basic grammatical constructs. They can't understand sentence structure. They can't understand even things that are kind of subjective, like tone and perspective. They don't understand that either. My primary goal for this week has been get them to start using second person point of view, which is you. So get them to stop writing, have you ever done this? Talk to the audience. Don't do that in a formal paper. And that's been hard. That's been hard because somebody in high school or middle school is teaching them to do that. And my job is to unteach that. So
oh, man.
It's hard. And I wasn't prepared, because when I first started teaching college, I didn't have this problem. It was, I could teach them how to research, and I could teach them how to cite, and I could teach them how to create a claim, an argument in their writing. But now, I have to start from square one.
Is it? You think that's something like the curriculum now, or in high school or something, where they're doing that? Like, what?
Well,
That's
they've
insane.
stopped teaching them. I mean, they every English teacher can tell you they've stopped teaching grammar. They've stopped teaching basic writing tenets. You know, there's none of it. And there,
That's why I homeschool,
another,
Kenzie.
another issue is that they're not reading either. They're not pleasure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man, that's sad.
If I have a student in a class and he or she is reading a book in class, I actually don't interrupt them. I don't. I let them read it. I'm like, you're reading a book. I'm not going to bother you. You know, and if they ask me what they missed, if they were not paying attention, I don't care. I'll tell them what they missed. I really don't mind.
Yeah.
So,
that's because you don't want to discourage them?
I want them to keep reading because they will learn how to write if they read good material.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. So my job is it's a lot different than it was when I was in college. You know.
Yeah.
We all knew how to write when we were in college. We did. So
I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was saying. I'm sorry, Joel.
It's okay. I don't know if I might be choppy. I'm getting a little broken up sometime. So I'm sorry if I interrupt, but you know, I think something that I see working with the younger generation now that I'm in my 40s, working with kids in their 20s, you know, we go through the same trainings and things together. Their ability to articulate words and speak words verbally seems stunted or muted because they've spent the majority of their life not using their voice. They've texted, you know, and done that level of communication online.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. And our John and I's company spends like a great deal amount of time just how do you talk to people? Like, and then you're like, what do you mean? Like, how, like, of course you know how to talk to it. But you think about it, honestly, they probably spent more time in a virtual space online communicating than they have with their own, you know, voice vocally. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, well, to your point, like, because we'll have like annual refresher training stuff on like talking points and stuff you wouldn't do with clients, and like you like Joel and I, we go through some of it, and you're like, who would do this with a client? Like, what? Like, why am I being taught this? Like, why would I talk to someone like this? But apparently that's a thing, right? I don't. But it's crazy. But we're at almost 2.5 hours. I want to be polite here and check in because we haven't gone this long in a handful of shows. So
yes, been some time.
Yeah.
That's because we have a very interesting guest.
There you go.
So
thank you.
So many things to talk about, and it's great. It's nice to have you here.
Yes.
Well, it's been great. It's been a good time. Yeah. I don't talk to it's so nice to be able to talk to people with things in common, you know. So.
Right?
Yeah.
A little bit selfishly why we do this show too is we get the benefit of connecting with like-minded people, and then the last couple of years of the world so isolated. It's like, there are still people that think crazy like we do too out there, so it's cool.
Absolutely. That's right.
I never if you like 2 years ago, if you said to me that I'd be talking to all these people that I read books, you know, like, because I've read horror novels my whole life pretty much, you know, and now I'm like talking to all the people that I read, and it's just weird. I still, when I sit and think about it, I'm like, man, I never would have thought I'd be doing that. It's so cool. But
now you're a part of them.
Well, true.
You're the best thing of all. I mean, there are a couple of authors I'm just like, I've loved them forever, and now I'm like a peer. How did this happen? How did that happen?
I credit Brian Keene for so like Stephen King was obviously like my first love. Like I was reading it in 8th grade. That's what made me want to write.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I would ever, because as I got older and I researched Stephen King, I'm like, well, God, like he knew all along that's what he was doing. He was doing this and that. Like I can never be that, you know. But then I went into a bookstore in like 03 or 04, I can't remember exactly when, and picked up The Rising, and I'm like, what is this? You know, I thought zombies were stupid, you know, I'm not gonna lie, but I bought the book and I fell in love with it, and then I started buying all his books. And then I read his backstory. You know, he was just a blue collar worker, like, you know, and that was when it clicked that I'm like, I can do this. Like, you know, he's just a normal guy that's putting out books that people love. Like, why can't I do this? So I credit him all the time, you know, and say,
he's one of the people. He's like Jeff. He's one of these authors who's found this. This is he who he is, and he is fantastic with new authors. You don't.
Yes.
He's welcoming and kind, and he wants you to put you in the right, like. If you want to be in part of any of the panels or anything, he'll put you on a panel at STC or something, or KillerCon.
Yeah.
I mean, pays attention to who's up and coming. He pays attention to new writers, and I like watching that. I like seeing his proteges, and it's neat. So yeah.
It's cool, and like you said, when you came in, there was a lot of scandals. There's still plenty of those in the industry, but for the most part, like every horror author I've talked to has been just awesome. Like they're
Like,
so cool.
The irony of the matter is one of the significant scandals was like that just kind of broke my heart. It was sort of this. It just happened, and right when I had been talking to this author, and we were going to do something, and then he just blew it, and I just went. I just got into this community. What did you do? What is this?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same person
that he's not the norm. This isn't the norm. The horror community apparently is the writing genre community that is actually, they have their heads on straight more than like romance, and
they're like willing to help everybody. Like everyone, like you said, everyone's super nice. Like the indie comic scene's not that way. Like I mean, there's a lot of bickering between people, and like backstabbing, and like complaining, and and we're just like, we want to make content to make people enjoy it. Like that's what we just want to put stuff out. Like we don't want to be part of that stuff. Like
we don't want to go to that route.
No.
Because most people are complaining, but that's not only in comics. It's in everywhere, because it's very easy to be pessimistic. It's very easy. You just have to be doing what you're doing, and nothing will happen, and you can just bitch about it.
That's true.
That's it. And it's very hard to be positive in this field, and it's very, I'd say, it's great to know that most of the good guys, they identify themselves with that kind of vibe. Let's not talk ill of the dead. Let's just talk about what's working and not about what's not working, because we know that the world's about that, and we don't want to go there. We're working comics, for God's sake. Like we want we don't want the reality. We want the fantasy. We want the stories. We want the new outcomes, not the old ones.
Well, not only that, and all in all, no matter what, you all want the same thing.
Yeah. But there are different paths to it.
Yeah, I mean, different paths, but you all want to entertain. You want to create. You want to create something fresh. That's why it's essential to have that community, because everybody wants the same thing. So
that's like in the horror community, I don't see a lot of the stuff that we see on the comic side, where it's just there's always some battle going on between creators, and it's like, man, like, guys, just enjoy this. Like I don't know, but I don't even know why we went down that tangent, because we're 2.5 hours in, I guess. But
it's late.
Yeah. But anyways, so we're gonna stop there. We could go all night. So
you can have back, John. We can do a part 2. It is possible, as long as she's willing, of course.
Well, you have to do the Society. You have to watch the movie. We have to do that.
I'm going to watch that. I want to watch the Talking Butthole. But
I took all the suggestions here. There's a Tomahawk with Kurt Russell, the Society. There's another one, that The Gift.
The Gift, right?
It's all here.
I've seen The Gift, and I can vouch for The Gift. The Society, I'll check it out.
Let's save it. Let's save it for the viewing party. Let's not.
We need to have a viewing party. That's it. We should do that.
I mean, I'm game.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
can
do
wait.
that, 'cause I don't do the technical stuff.
And we have to punish you with the Lamageddon.
No, God.
We'll have Kenzie on, we'll have James on. We'll do a Llamageddon party too. It'll be great.
All right, that's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's put that together, John. That could be our new angle. I love it.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Well, yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of projects in the works, so definitely have to have you back on to chat about those when they're coming out and whatnot. So
Thanks for having me. It was good. I had a great time.
good.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Hope everybody has a good week. We'll see you next week. I guess we'll be back, right, John? We got some other things lined
Yeah,
up.
we got Rio yours coming on.
We'll
So
be back. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, have a good week, everybody. Appreciate your time. Have a good evening. Take it easy.
Yeah.